What's up, Piper, Natalie? Damn, I forgot to bring my water bottle today, so hopefully I don't get too thirsty, I guess. That would suck. What's up, Josh? Planar Reality, what's up? So today I decided to post up right outside the entrance to UCLA, which is not too far from where I was at last time. Last time I think there was some kind of like event going on, I guess. You know, it was like in between summer classes. So a lot of people were like visiting. A lot of high school students for sure were like visiting the campus. There was a lot of groups like that. Today that's not the case. It's not nearly as packed as it was last time. Obviously, which lets me know that there was some kind of event, but nonetheless, it's not that empty. There's still a lot of students walking back and forth. Yeah, I wanted to test out this spot right here outside just to see how it goes. Inside, it went pretty good last time, really good actually. But again, it was more packed than usual last time I came. So we'll see how it goes this time.
Are you smarter than
fifth grader? Yeah. Manuel. Blackbird, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. And Jolly Man, what's up? Yeah, the other spot where I was is not bad. The only thing is that because it's like kind of hidden behind the statue, like I'm like behind the statue there. People that are walking perpendicular to me, like up and down, yeah, unless they turn their heads, you know, they're not gonna see me there, you know. So they're not gonna see the table out, you know, in the peripheral, you know, if they're not paying attention. So I feel like a spot where the table is like, you can't miss it. It's like a better spot, which will be right here. But at the end of the day, you know, you can't control people stopping or not stopping, or you can't control how many conversations you're gonna have. You just gotta wait and see. So yeah, want to get on the topic of the Earth cannot move omnidirectional. So in other words, not just the Earth, you know, anything, any one thing, like, you know, anything, you know, a person, for example, you know, or an object, right? Like this object cannot move omnidirectional. In other words, in every direction, 360 degrees at the same time. You know, so it cannot move this way and down, you know, at the same time, for example, you know. So an object cannot move in opposite directions at the same time, yet alone omnidirectional, which will be in every direction as well, every other direction between those two. But just, you know, that simple fact alone, an object cannot move, or something cannot move in opposite directions at the same time. Like it's just retarded, you know. Like you know, you can't move this left and right at the same time. You would have to cut it, and then that becomes two pieces now, two things. I'm talking about, you know, no one thing can move in two directions or opposite directions at the same time. That's a fact. You know, the closest thing a troll can come up with would be like, oh, but if I'm moving inside of a bus in one direction, then if I'm walking towards the back of the bus, like if the bus is moving forward in one direction and I'm walking inside the bus towards the back of the bus, I'm moving in two directions at the same time. Right? That's like the closest thing I tried to come up with, right? But the thing is, let's say the bus was moving 10 miles an hour forward, right? And you're walking back, 3 miles an hour, or 2 miles an hour, in the opposite direction the bus is moving, right? And you're inside the bus. Guess what? You are still moving in the same direction the bus is moving through space. You're only moving now at 8 miles an hour. So again, if the bus is moving, say this is the bus, right? You're inside the bus. If the bus is moving 10 miles an hour like this forward, but you're walking backwards 2 miles an hour inside of the bus, you inside of the bus, you're still moving through space in the same direction the bus is moving, just at a slower rate now. So you'll be moving at 8 miles an hour, the same direction the bus is moving. The only difference is that inside the bus, you're moving in the opposite direction. That's within the reference frame of the bus. But in actual three-dimensional space, in reality, you're still moving forward in the same direction as the bus, just at a slower pace. Again, you cannot move forwards and backwards at the same time. Like, that's retarded. So again, the globe Earth requires you to believe that the gravity is a pulling force, because again, if we could prove that the Earth is pushing up, in other words, literally moving up, then that wouldn't work from a globe. The globe cannot move in opposite directions at the same time, yet alone omnidirectional, which will be in every direction away from the center, 360 degrees at the same time. It just defies physics. An object moving in opposite directions at the same time defies physics, just like someone claiming that they can walk through walls. That matter can go through walls, right? That defies physics as well. So again, claiming, that the Earth is pushing up, not only would it not work from a globe, but it would completely just obliterate it, literally, that whole concept of the globe Earth. The whole heliocentric model relies on the idea that objects get pulled, by masses. So mass attracts other mass, and it somehow attracts it and pulls it towards it. So again, if we could prove that it's the other way around, that it's the Earth literally pushing up and not pulling you down, then again, the whole globe Earth concept is dead, literally. And that's why, I say that the controlled opposition pushes that the Earth is motionless, because they are literally defending the only thing the globe Earth has, which is explanations, which are based on the pulling force of gravity, which can easily be debunked. So it's no given to me that the controlled opposition, the real controlled opposition, pushes that the Earth is motionless, because they are subliminally defending the globe Earth. So that's why this whole globe Earth versus flat Earth, it's just a waste of time, because they both claim and believe the exact same thing when it comes to matter accelerating in free fall. So obviously, that can easily be debunked, but you're gonna have all of these big channels about, flat Earth channels, in other words, going up against the globe Earth and just talking a lot of nonsense, in other words. It's just to keep people distracted at the end of the day. This whole flat Earth versus globe Earth debate that's happening online, it's literally just there to keep people stunned, just to keep people distracted, to keep people confused at the end of the day. Because in reality, that's not what's happening. So yeah, that's how they're keeping this topic censored, from actually reaching the masses, is by making ridiculous claims like the globe Earth, that objects can accelerate down by some magical thing, right? Whether you believe in RDD, whether you believe it's electrostatic field, whatever it may be. That kind of acceleration in free fall that doesn't cause any effects of the acceleration, doesn't exist. So acceleration without any pressure doesn't exist. I hate to say it. And when people say, well, what about magnets, right? Well, magnets, first of all, they can be measured. when you have a magnet, for example, and you have a piece of metal, when you bring the piece of metal closer to the magnet, you can feel the pressure. You literally can feel the pressure. There's some kind of pressure there, you know. So again, acceleration in free fall due to gravity, there is zero pressure. There's nothing pushing on the object in free fall, nothing going on there. There's no force, there's no pressure whatsoever. So that's the kind of acceleration that they're claiming is happening, which again doesn't exist. You know, so when people bring up magnets, which is the only thing people actually, people do when they have nowhere else to go, again, not only do magnets, the pressure of them can be measured, not only that, it only affects metal. It doesn't affect wood, it doesn't affect, water, it doesn't affect the air, it only affects metal. So it's a false equivalence at the end of the day. So yeah, people that just repeat that are literally just looking for a way out, And it's cool, People that don't want to accept the reality for what it is, it's your free will to believe whatever you want. It's your free will to deny reality if that's what you choose to do. Nobody can convince you of anything at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, reality is what it is, and either you accept it or you don't.
Hold on to your last defense.
Damn. I'm seeing way more students walking inside now than outside. Interesting. Oh my god. So yeah, at the end of the day, the globe Earth, are making ridiculous claims, about the pulling force of gravity. Again, they have to claim that gravity is acting down, right? Pulling the air down, holding the air down, pressing it down, right? But then somehow the air is still able to push helium up, right? So the air is moving down and up at the same time somehow. Like the air is being pressed down, there's a force acting on the air down, but then somehow the air is able to push helium up without the air itself moving up as well. Like that's retarded. I hate to say it. That kind of force doesn't exist. That's like claiming, let me see. Oh my god. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Let me see. Huh. So it's like claiming that the air is being pushed to the left in this scenario, but the helium is moving to the right. That's what the globe Earth wants you to believe that's possible. They want you to believe that you can have a force acting on the air, pushing the air towards the left, but somehow the helium balloon goes to the right in this scenario. So think about that. That's what the globe Earth is claiming, that gravity can push the air in one direction, but then the air is able to push something that's less dense in the opposite direction. Again, completely retarded. It doesn't make any sense, but yet, because people are shown images on a screen, you have experts in lab coats saying, that the Earth is a globe and all of this bullshit, then people just buy into these explanations. Because in people's mind is like, well, they're the expert, what do I know, right? So again, if they could convince you to deny your common sense and buy into an idea, then that shows that you're willing to buy into other ideas that don't make any sense, like the economy, and you're just gonna go with it because everyone else goes with it, right? The majority of people believe it, so it must be true, right? So an appeal to consensus, Hey, how's it going?
What's this going on?
So I'm asking two very easy questions to see if people can get them right. They're multiple choice. You want to give it a shot?
What's the trick question?
No, not trick questions. They're very easy.
Okay.
Yeah, so right here I have 3 box trucks.
Okay.
And there's a bowling ball inside hanging with the string,
Okay.
So one of these box trucks is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse.
Okay.
So out of these 3, which one is at rest? Yes, that's obvious, right? What would you say, Biba?
Because if it's accelerating forward, then the momentum
Okay, yeah.
reverse.
Then it's the opposite. Yeah, you got it. Because it's not moving. It's not, it's staying plumb, you could say. So which one would you say is accelerating forward? It's A, obviously, right? And it's obviously because the ball appears to swing back. Well, the force is going this way, but because of inertia, the bowling ball remains in its position in space. So you could say that it's being left behind.
Yes.
So the whole container is moving forward, but the bowling ball is being left behind. Yeah, you got it. So the second one is pretty similar. Here we go. It's pretty similar, but instead of a bowling ball, it's a helium balloon inside the box truck, right? So out of these 3, which one is at rest?
Should be B.
It actually is.
Okay.
And it's for the same reason as the first one. It's because it's not reacting. It's still remaining plumb, you could say, or vertical, right? Which one's accelerating forward?
If I take the bus going east to here, it's worse. That's why I'm supposed
I mean,
to
because it's tied to the ground, I wouldn't say it's A.
You think it's
If it
A?
wasn't tied to the ground,
Oh, really? You think so? Oh, it's actually C.
okay.
So the reason is C is because helium is less dense than the air that's inside of the box truck. So when you accelerate the box truck in that direction, for example, all of the air inside of the box truck is also being pushed in that direction, by the back wall of the container.
That's true. When you move forward,
All of the air inside, yes. So because air is more dense than helium, is able to push it in that same direction that the force is being applied.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, I have a demonstration here of that. So
Is that a helium then?
no, this is a buoyant object. So that's what buoyancy is, in other words.
Oh,
It's the medium that surrounds it being more dense, pushing on the less dense object, right? So here we have a buoyant object inside of water. So the water is more dense than this red ball, right?
Okay.
If I accelerate in this direction, what direction do you think the ball's gonna go? Yes, it's gonna go in that direction. See, it gets pushed in the direction of the force.
So initially it goes that way, and then because of like equal force, it goes back after.
He goes back after because I'm not accelerating anymore. But if you continue to accelerate, it's gonna remain in the front if you continue that acceleration. Because
I'm not smarter than a 5th grader.
you are, trust me, you are. But yeah, so again, buoyancy is a chain reaction of a force, and buoyancy always follows the direction of the force, right? So pretty easy. So let me just show you this. I did this experiment myself, and I want to see if you can tell me. So instead of a bowling ball, I used an apple, and then I used the helium balloon. Obviously, they're both tied inside the box truck. But based on what we just learned or demonstrated, you would say I'm accelerating to the right. Exactly, yes. Because not only does matter show you the exact moment I accelerated, it shows you the direction I accelerated.
It definitely does.
It does, exactly. Because if I did it the other way,
Then
you get the
reversing,
helium.
you're going to
Yes,
the
the helium. Because that's the helium will always react in the same direction the air's
less dense.
because it's less dense. Exactly. And again, and I did it with in a smaller scale as well. Here's a container filled with water and a red ping pong ball and a steel ball. So what direction would you say I accelerated here? To the right, exactly, because that's the buoyant object is being pushed, by the water in that direction, which means the water is also moving in that direction through space, right? So one last one. I did a vertical acceleration. So what that means is I had a water bottle like this, and I was just holding it, but I only accelerated one of these two down vertically.
Okay.
Which one would you say I accelerated down vertically? The one on the right?
Accelerated down.
Yes.
The one on the right?
Exactly. Because not only does it show the...
Less dense one going down, but
Yes.
the more dense one going up.
Exactly. Perfect. So do you believe that if I was just to hold an object like this and not accelerate it, but just released it into free fall, do you believe gravity pulls it down towards the earth? Like it accelerates it down?
I know, definitely. But it
Right.
also has, because it's also dense enough that gravity
Yeah.
can act.
Okay, no, yeah. So here, the one on the left, I actually just released it into free fall. So this is free fall. But we see that matter didn't react to that acceleration. So I don't know if you knew gravity is just theory. So they've never actually measured a force in free fall accelerating matter down. And matter shows that it doesn't react to that acceleration because there is no acceleration in free fall. And that's why gravity is just a theory.
How about this one?
So this one I physically accelerated with my hand. Yes, so this was a real physical acceleration. This was just free fall, which they claim is an acceleration, but matter shows that it's not being accelerated.
But isn't there also a force of gravity that's acting?
Well, that's what they say, that the force of gravity is grabbing all the matter together and accelerating equally. But that's like claiming that you can accelerate this way without any change. But that defies physics, because when you accelerate in any direction, you create pressure within the medium that's inside the container, whether it's air or water, and that pressure will push anything that's less dense in the same direction as the force. They're claiming that in free fall, something different happens that nobody can recreate or replicate. So this force field that they're claiming exists here on Earth, it actually doesn't exist. So the force of the Earth is not a pulling force, it's actually a pushing force. So
You say it's keeping the Earth, like, doing its orbit.
well, here's the thing. If we understand buoyancy always follows the direction of the force, right? Whether, in any scale, for example. If I have a helium balloon here on Earth, right, and I release it, what direction does it go? So what's pushing up the helium, do you think? What do you think is pushing up the helium?
Because it's less dense in the air.
Yeah, so the air is pushing it up, right? So we understand that inanimate matter cannot push itself, right? So in this scenario, it was the truck that pushed the air, which then pushed the helium. So what do you think is pushing up the air here on Earth that's pushing up the helium? Yes, exactly. So the fact is, it's the Earth that's pushing up right now, so it's not pulling you down towards the Earth. So the force of the Earth is a push, not a pull. So this upwards push of the Earth, it's what's compressing the air or pushing on the air, which is able to push anything that's less dense, like fire or helium or any lighter gases.
We're still like on the ground.
Yes, because the Earth is constantly pushing up against you. We can't escape that push of the Earth. So when we jump, the Earth just catches up again because it's continually pushing. It's always pushing up.
Okay, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So here, let me tell you this. This is where I'm getting to. So you believe the Earth is a ball, right?
Well, yes,
Yeah, right?
it's
So you understand that on a ball, up is relative. So in other words, if you're standing here, up is this way, but if you're standing down here, up is in the opposite direction from here. And every direction away from the center will be up on a ball, right? If we could prove that the force of the Earth is a push, in other words, it's pushing up, moving up, how can the Earth move up in every direction at the same time if it was a ball? Yes. How can the Earth push up in every direction at the same time if it was a ball? Well, magnets only affect metal, and they kind of, they don't really push, like.
Could spin?
And the spin is not. Well, the spin would mean it's not moving up; it's just turning on its axis. The Earth is literally, if you're standing here, it's literally pushing up this way. But if you're standing down here, we'll have to be pushing down this way. So
It is spinning though.
that's what they say. But here's the thing: if we could prove that the ground is literally moving up, and buoyancy shows us that it's literally pushing up, then it wouldn't work from a globe, because that would mean the Earth will have to be expanding to be able to push up omnidirectional in every direction at the same time, and it would just explode. So in order for people to believe in the ball Earth theory, they first have to believe in the theory of gravity being a pulling force, because if we could prove that it's the other way around, that it's actually pushing up, then the whole globe Earth model wouldn't work, not even on paper. So this will be the number one proof to debunk the globe, is that the force of the Earth is not a pull, it's a push. So again, the Earth is simply a level plane, and we're all standing on it, and it's literally just pushing up in one direction. So everybody's up is the same.
What happens to the ends of it?
So we're actually being contained somehow. So you understand that at sea level there's 14.7 psi, right, of air pressure, and the higher you elevate, the more it decreases. But in order to maintain air pressure without losing any pressure, the air has to be physically contained somehow. So that's the law of entropy.
Yeah, the atmosphere.
Yeah, but the atmosphere itself has to be physically contained by a physical barrier. So they're claiming outer space is right next to Earth's pressure without a solid barrier separating the two. They're claiming that it's gravity holding the air from escaping into space. But that kind of force, again, they rely on the pulling force of gravity to explain away everything that doesn't make sense, for example.
But wouldn't the vacuum that's outside contain the force?
No, because like a vacuum would, you could say, the air would disperse into space if it was no solid barrier. It would just, because if you have, in order to maintain two opposing pressure systems next to each other, you need solid barriers separating the two. Like if you want to create a vacuum here, you need a solid cube, for example, and you got to suck all the air out, right? If you have a hole on that container, the air outside, the pressure outside, it's going to rush into that void to fill it, to equilibrate. So that's what air does if it's not being physically contained. So the claim that outer space is a vacuum next to Earth's pressure system without a solid barrier defies physics, defies the laws of entropy. You know, again, their explanation is gravity, which is just a theory. So everything about outer space, orbits, you know, how day and night works with the sun spinning, all of that relies on the belief of gravity being a pulling force, which can easily be debunked. And that's why it's the number one proof that debunks the globe, that the Earth is pushing up and not pulling you down.
How about when ships go?
Okay, so when ships appear to go over the horizon, right? You think that's the curvature obstructing, right? Yeah. So we actually do have a limit to how far we can see. So depending on how tall you are, obviously you can probably see a little further, and if you're shorter, you see a little bit. So there is a angular limit to how far light enters our eye. So when a boat simply, it appears to go over a horizon, it's simply going out of perspective. So it's going out of our field of view. That's what's happening. So
Short person and a tall person would still see that same thing.
they would see it, yes, because obviously a foot in height, difference in height is not going to make that much of a difference. But let's say you elevate 6 stories up, when the boat simply disappears from the person on ground level, if you elevate in a building, for example, that person will be able to see it because you're increasing your angle of view. So your field of view is bigger now. So it's not because of the curvature. Huh?
How about satellites?
So satellites, if you could look this up when you leave, try to look for a genuine photograph of a satellite in space. It doesn't exist. They're all CGI. So when you put satellite on Google and go to images, all of the images of the satellites are all cartoons. They're all CGI. So a satellite in outer space doesn't exist. Because I don't know if you knew, over 97% of communication done here on Earth is done through underwater cables. So the whole internet system, everything is done through underwater sea cables and through ground towers. So that's how we do communication here on Earth. So any signals that are coming from above are, have you ever heard of satelloons? So they're giant helium balloons that Google and NASA put up there, and those are what the satellites are. They call them satelloons. Well, I don't know if that's the official name. I think it is. And ironically, NASA is the #1 helium buyer in the world.
I get your point.
Yeah.
But I just want to ask.
Yes.
If it is not real, right?
Yes.
Why do flights go over the Arctic if you want to go, say, to the ocean? Or like ocean, instead of going straight? Like from here, straight. What is that? East. Why do they go over the Arctic, which is the shortest distance?
Right. I don't have a.
Theoretically, it would be the short distance.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Well, first of all, the Arctic, the north part of the Earth, is actually very restricted. So there's like a no-fly zone. I think it's like 66 degrees north, or I don't know the exact distance north. Nobody's allowed to fly through the north. So I would ask why. Why don't they allow people to fly right over the north, right? So that's just a law that they implemented. That's why planes don't do that. But either way, flight paths would work on a level Earth regardless.
No, I'm asking why is the fastest distance and shortest distance going over the Arctic instead of going straight? Because theoretically, if it wasn't a globe, it would be going straight.
So
That would
explain
be
to
the
me,
shortest
for example, here.
distance. So you got point A over here,
Yes.
and you got point B over here.
Yes.
Right? theoretically, if you look at it as not a globe, fastest distance would be going like this.
Yes.
Right? But why do flights go like this?
Well, flights do go like this, but they don't go exactly over the center because this
Oh, no,
area is
they don't go
restricted.
over the
But they
center,
do fly
but
like
they go
this.
like this.
Even if it was a level Earth, for example, like this, it would say the North's right here, right? And the continents, instead of being around a ball like this, they're just spread out like this. So if you're down here in America and you're trying to fly across the other side of the Earth, I would call it the other side of the pond, you're simply just flying like this. Instead of going like this, they fly like this.
Then if
They don't go around like this, you know, they fly in straight lines.
then
So from here to
what
here.
would be the explanation for the Arctic and Antarctic?
So the Antarctic, the magnetic South Pole hasn't never been proven. So nobody's actually gone to the South Pole and used a compass to say like, oh, we're at the geographic South Pole. So nobody's actually done that. So what's going on in the South? Nobody actually knows. Maybe the government does know, but they're just keeping that from the populace. But the North Pole, obviously, you know, anybody can verify with a compass that there is a geographic north or a magnetic north, in other words. But a South Pole has never been proven. Yes, people go to Antarctica, they go to a ice sheet somewhere. I don't know where that ice sheet is in relationship to all the other continents. So I don't know exactly where they're going. And the fact that they've never pulled out a compass to show on camera that they're at the South Pole should obviously raise a lot of red flags. That video doesn't exist. You know, here, let me ask you this. Do you know the radius of the Earth they tell us? So the radius of the Earth is 3,959 miles, which is obviously the distance from the center to the surface. So based on the radius, we can calculate for the circumference, which is 24,901 miles.
Okay.
So you can verify this for yourself, you know. Based on the radius of the Earth, they tell us there has to be curvature every mile, and every mile it has to increase. So it comes out to 8 inches per mile squared. So that means in the first mile, there should be an 8-inch drop of curve. In 2 miles, there should be 32 inches of curve, and in 3 miles, there should be 6 feet of curvature. And in 10 miles, there should be 66 feet. So it just keeps increasing more and more. So how do we measure for that curvature, right? There's a very easy way. If we went out to a giant lake that was miles across, with obviously water filled, and once it's at rest, if we build a level structure over that body of water, we'll say 3 miles across, the surface of water is going to remain parallel to anything horizontal above it. Because once water's contained and at rest, it always collapses and forms an equal surface, which is level, which is horizontal. They're trying to tell us that the surface of a lake that's 3 miles across, it's bending 6 feet in 3 miles. So if we build a level structure over the lake, they're trying to say that the gap between the level structure and the water is going to increase from the starting point to the end point by 6 feet. So that's how much water curve they're claiming should be there in 3 miles. Not only that, they're claiming 66 feet in 10 miles, which is like a 6-story building of curvature, but the physics of water doesn't have the ability to form any shapes on the surface once it's contained and at rest. So the physics of water debunks that there is any curvature of the Earth, regardless of distance.
On the topic of water, then how the water bodies get connected?
I'm sorry?
On the topic of water,
Yes.
how the water bodies get connected?
Water buildings be connected?
Like, for example,
You're talking about how all the oceans connected? Well, I would say the oceans are no different than a lake in the sense that they're just giant craters. So obviously, the fact that they're connected, there's obviously no lands in between them to block them, to separate them from each other. So that's why they're connected, because it's just like a giant crater. You know, that's what the oceans are.
How are we crossing from, say, the bottom to the top, but the other way around?
I'm sorry, what was your...
Because if you go from, say, the Indian Ocean, you go all the way down, and then you go to the Arctic, but you can just, if
Yes.
on a globe, you can just go like, phew, but like on the...
Well, on a level
plane,
surface,
it would be-
put it this way. The oceans, again, like I said, it's just like a giant lake, and all the continents are just spread out, you know, across the way. So you just travel in any direction and you'll get to where you need to, you know. It's no different. You just think that you're going from like the top of the globe to like the bottom of the globe, right? But in reality, you're just going from the center to the outer circumference. That's what's happening. So instead of, again, you thinking you're going from here down here, you're simply going from here across the way, just south, but across the way. You're not going down under a ball.
So
You know?
you just kept going
So if you kept going south, for example,
this way. Yeah.
yes, okay, if you say this is the north, right? And if you just kept going south, in my opinion, you reach the end of the Earth. So there is an end to the Earth. It's not infinite. So they're claiming that you'll just come back around this way. but nobody's actually ever done that. Nobody's gone south and then came back up around. That path has never been done before or recorded or anything. You know.
Pretty sure it has.
It actually hasn't.
I'm pretty sure it has.
You could look it up. It actually hasn't. I think there was somebody that claimed to do it, but there's no actual physical evidence to back up that claim. I think there's someone that claimed to do it, but other than that, there's nobody's ever done that path. Because, well, in my opinion, again, if you just go south, you're going to reach the container of the Earth, in my opinion.
Why is there no research done?
Because, have you heard of the Antarctic Treaty? So over 57 nations have signed the Antarctic Treaty, which prevents any independent exploration of Antarctica, or in other words, south. Nobody can independently explore south if they wanted to. So let's say I was a billionaire or a millionaire, and I just had free time and money and resources, and I wanted to find out what's actually south, I wouldn't be allowed. The governments wouldn't allow it. There's a treaty. You could go to jail, you know, if you try it. So you got to ask yourself why. You know, that's a little weird, right? Why aren't they letting us independently explore?
Is Earth the only flat planet, or are they
So
all
the
flat?
stars, right? A lot of people think the stars and the lights in the sky are Earth-like, right? So here's what the stars actually look like when you zoom in with a powerful zoom camera, optical zoom, not digital. So it's real zoom. Not only does it show that they're really, really, really close, because so this is what NASA shows, but this is what they actually look like. So these are the planets and these are the stars, but they're no different. The only difference between them two is that the planets have their own unique paths. So they're independent from the stars, because the stars are constant. That's why we have constellations.
So if you look through a telescope and you see this, what
You
are you
won't.
seeing?
You won't see this.
You do.
This is what you'll see.
No, I've looked through a telescope. I've seen this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that you kind of just had like an image in your mind already that kind of, that's just my opinion. Second, we shouldn't be able to bring these stars into focus if they're supposedly trillions of light years away, or trillions of miles away. They're like 27 light years away, supposedly. We shouldn't be able to bring them into focus like this if they were really that far, but we can. Yeah. So black holes are just theories, in other words. So they're claiming they're observing stuff outside of the Earth reference frame, but nobody can actually go out there to verify if what they're saying is true. So they're just taking advantage of that fact to just make up stories about what's outside to back up the ball Earth claim. So everything about outer space is just CGI and stories. It's not backed by natural science, which is measurable, testable, and repeatable. Natural science shows that the Earth is literally a level plane because the physics of water shows that. That's literally pushing up, which buoyancy shows that the Earth is literally pushing up. You know, so again, those two simple facts that are irrefutable debunk the entire heliocentric model.
I might have missed the buoyancy part.
Yeah, buoyancy, for example, I was telling her, buoyancy always follows the direction of the force. So if something is less dense than the medium that surrounds it, depending on the direction the medium is moving, that's the direction the buoyant object is going to react. So right here we have a buoyant object. If I accelerate in this direction, if I apply a force in this direction, the buoyant object follows the direction of the force every single time, because that's the direction the medium is moving also through space. So if a helium balloon rises up, that means the air is pushing it up, but what's pushing up the air to be able to push up the helium?
Oh, it's not a force. It's not a push.
Well, buoyancy is a force, which is a push. A push is a force.
It's not pushing on it though.
The air's not pushing on a helium balloon?
It's the force of the molecules on the surface, on the volume of the.
You could say
itself.
it's the molecules of the air that's pushing up the helium, but the molecules of the air have to be moving up to be able to push up the helium.
They're not actually moving. It's a density difference.
Yeah, it's a density difference, but you require a force to have density differences orientate themselves.
It's not a force in the traditional sense of that being a force.
It actually is. That what you just did right now, it's the only force that exists in nature. Something pushing on something else. If you look at combustion engines, it relies on those principles of something pushing on something else that pushes something else that pushes something else. That's how all engines work. Everything that has motion, it's all push. Could you think of a pulling force? That there is no physical contact between two masses, but one can move the other without any physical contact. I'm sorry? Magnetism? So I was just talking about that in my stream, that's the only thing that people usually bring up is magnetism. But not only does magnetism only affect metal, but magnets, there is a force there that you can feel. Obviously, when you have a metal object and bring it to a magnet, you can feel that pressure of that. But again, not only does it only affect metal, but in free fall, there is no measurable force of gravity. That's why it's just a theory. That's why Newton came up with his theory, and that's why Einstein came up with his theory. Because all they have is theories. They can only make an explanation of what's going on there because objects don't get pulled down by a force. There is no measurable force in free fall. So like when an object's like this and I release it, there's not something, you know, behind the air that's pushing this down. That has never been measured.
No, nothing's pushing it down. Gravity's pulling it down.
Well, or pulling it, in other words. So a gravitational field has never been measured or detected.
Actually, it has. They have the LIGO detector that's measured gravity waves.
That's what they say, but again, that would mean that gravity is not a theory anymore because they proved it, right? But the fact is, if you look it up, gravity remains a theory and will always remain a theory.
Yeah, they have the LIGO detector. They also have other gravity wave detectors that are in development and that are out there. They're building one for space now. They're going to do a space-based gravity wave detector.
Right. So here's the thing. You guys, obviously, everybody has a smartphone nowadays, right? Do you understand, or did you guys know that every cell phone or every smartphone has an accelerometer built in? So that's how you're able to put it in portrait and landscape, and it switches based on how you put it, you know, in what direction you put it. Because there's an accelerometer in your phone. That accelerometer detects the presence of a force. So when you have that accelerometer app and you have it here on Earth, it detects 1G. So that's the force of the Earth. But it's a push, not a pull. The reason how we know that is because if you have that accelerometer app and you have it at rest like this and you accelerate it right, left, up, or down, if you physically accelerate that phone with the accelerometer, it's going to detect an increase in 1G. It's going to go from 1G to 2, 3, 4, depending on how much force you're applying it, right? Because it detects the force. However, when I have it and I release it into free fall and people claim it accelerates down towards the Earth, it actually detects 0G.
It's because it's relative.
Well, it's not G-force acceleration is not relative. If we actually accelerate something, then that's a physical acceleration.
You are coasting and not accelerating. You're coasting. You're still moving, but there's no acceleration. You don't feel any force
because there is no force. Now that's where the explanation of Einstein, for example, the bending and warping of space-time. He claims that gravity is not a force, but it acts like a force. So they're just double speaking now. So it accelerates matter even though there is no detectable force or acceleration, but you know, because it's not accelerating, but it is accelerating.
They have found the Higgs boson, which is the manifestation of the gravitational force field.
Right. Well, like I said, I've been into this subject over 10 years, and I have never found any empirical evidence that proves gravity to be real. Like that, I'm telling you, that's why Einstein came up with his theory, and it's still the main explanation to gravity, the warping and bending of space-time.
Yeah, but they have proved the effect.
I agree. We can observe an effect, but it's not being accelerated down. It's the Earth catching up to the object in free fall.
They have proven the existence of all of the Einstein's theories. Gravity lensing, black holes, they've all been proven.
So if I was to ask you, respectfully obviously, what's the number one proof that makes you believe the Earth is a ball?
The number one?
Yes. Why do you believe the Earth is a ball?
Observations.
Observations of what?
Imagery.
So you're talking about just images of the Earth from space? You would
That's
say?
a very strong, compelling argument.
Okay, sure. Before I get to that, if I showed you an image of me flying, or would you believe I could fly?
Depends on who.
Just like Superman, with no external components, just me flying like Superman.
Were you just doing this, or were you doing this?
Like just floating in midair, for example. Obviously, I could take a picture of me jumping, but like, let's say I showed you a video of me flying. Would you believe I could fly?
Straight line, so it could have been launched like out of a cannon.
No. Let's say I was literally flying, like floating. You see me a video of me flying, like going up, moving left, right, you know, speeding up, slowing down, and then coming back down. If I showed you a video like that, would you believe I can actually fly?
I believe that something is flying, whether that's
No,
you.
but I'm not using any tech. It's just my body, you know, just me, you know, no external components, no jetpacks, no nothing. Nothing external that's giving me extra force. Just my body and me. If I showed a video of me flying like that, would you believe I could fly? I would say that defies physics. Like if somebody showed you a video of an elephant flying, would you believe elephants could fly?
Okay, that defies physics or reason.
Well, obviously there's They have to do with the electromagnetic field, obviously, when they flap their wings. Yeah, but there's a cost for that, and we can recreate it. You know
I
what
would
I'm saying?
say I would believe it until I could prove it myself empirically through
Yes.
study and through tests. And
Exactly.
so-
Exactly. It has to be put to the scientific method, measurable, testable, and repeatable. So again, when it comes to the globe Earth, these images they show us, not only do they admit they're all composite images, they make them in a computer, but all of these images defy physics as well.
Well, not all images.
So this is
mean,
2000
there are people on a space station, for example,
Yeah.
taking photographs of the Earth in
So,
real time. They're not composite
let me ask you
images.
this.
They're using their Sony camera or whatever, and they take pictures.
Do you think it's possible when they're in the ISS that they're using camera trickery like green screens and blue screens, or maybe augmented reality even?
No.
You don't think it's possible that they're...
No.
How would you know that they're not using any of that?
It's a lot of work. It's not worth
Well, they
it.
do get $70 million a day, so they do basically have an endless budget to be able to...
Well, there are private citizens who have flown in space who don't get that kind of budget, who don't get that kind of money.
Okay. So what? So private citizens are going to space? You're talking about like celebrities and stuff like that,
There
or?
have been a variety of them.
Yeah. Well, so it's just a consensus thing then why you accept the Earth as a globe. That's what it comes down to. Because other people claim so, the majority claims so that means it is.
Can we go back to how you said that if bees are flying, then there has to be some sort of...
There's a cause.
What's
Yeah.
the cause?
Well, obviously them flapping their wings. The rate in which they do, obviously they don't fly like birds, you know. They create a magnetic bubble when they have to reach a certain frequency, pretty much, and that's how they're able to elevate themselves, right?
But it's
Who's
physical.
that? That's like
Bees.
bees.
Bees. How do bees fly? Obviously, they don't fly like birds.
If
Obviously,
there's electromagnetic energy, then there has to be electromagnetic force.
I don't deny the electromagnetic field that's here on Earth. I accept that it exists. That has, yes, but I would say that has nothing to do with gravity or the shape of the Earth. Magnetic.
South, then how would there be appropriate magnetic field for...
Yeah. So the only magnetic field that exists is north. So all compasses point north. No compass ever will point south. They all point north, and the opposite of north is south. So that's how we get south. It's just the opposite of north. So there's no magnetic field. I'm sorry? Well, I don't see what point of that has to do with the globe or not.
Initially you said that there is no magnetic field.
There's no magnetic in the south. There is a magnetic field here on Earth, yes, but it's coming from the north only. There's only...
Where does it go?
Well, I don't know exactly what the source of the magnetic field is. Yeah, a lot of people say it could be a giant mountain. You know, I don't buy into that. The globe Earth says that it's a magnetic core, but the reality is nobody knows where that magnetic field is coming from. We know it's coming from a point on Earth, obviously, but nobody's actually been to that point to verify what that is. That's where the restrictions come in of the Arctic. Nobody's allowed to go north or south to fully. No, there's no free exploration here. They have us like animals in a pen, put it that way.
People have been to the North Pole.
Not to the exact north. Nobody's actually took a picture of Polaris right underneath it. It's restricted. Nobody can go there. You gotta ask yourself why.
Magnetic north, the actual spot as measured, does move.
They say that, but nobody's actually been to the north with a compass and go around the center point to show like, look, this is the North
It's
Pole.
not that precise.
Exactly, because they say it shifts. So that's their explanation to why they've never been to the exact center, because it shifts, right? That's just an explanation. But in reality, nobody's actually been to the exact north, at least in this civilization. Maybe other civilizations have, but from what I'm aware, none of the nations of the UN have gone to the geographic exact North Pole. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. Obviously, it does. I just don't know what it is, what's causing it. You know. So that's just it is. I know you guys heard of flat Earth, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this is flat Earth is a psyop, and I'm going to tell you why. So the mainstream flat Earth, all the mainstream channels online that are pushing flat Earth, they all claim the Earth is motionless. So they completely deny the fact that the Earth exerts a force. So they're like the globe Earth. They believe that objects accelerate down in free fall as well. So the flat Earth versus globe Earth debate that's happening online, it's a false debate. They both are claiming the same thing.
Okay, well, let's go over that a little bit. So, what's the whole sun thing
So
and the moon thing going
yeah,
up the sky?
Yeah, so when it comes to the sun, the moons, and the stars, all the luminaries in the sky, not only is it a red herring when it comes to the shape of the Earth, because it's completely irrelevant. Looking at the lights in the sky tells us nothing about the geometry of the Earth.
Yeah, but there's no chariot pulling the sun across our flat.
Oh yeah, I would say it probably has to do with the magnetic field here on Earth, how the sun works.
There has to be a magnetic.
But they have,
Yeah, there is.
They have probes at the sun.
I actually don't know how the sun
They've gone to
works.
the south pole of the sun recently and looked at it.
I'm sorry, you were saying that.
There's a new solar probe that just went down to the south pole of the sun and was taking measurements down there.
You're talking about like a satellite that went down to the south, or like?
Yeah. That was not satellite. It's not on
Right.
Earth. It went to the sun.
Right. If they claimed that and if they even showed that, like, I would say I've never heard of that. But if they did, I would assume it has to be some CGI. You know, if they showed video of that. But again, if they just claimed it without any physical evidence, then I would just say it's a baseless claim. You know. But again, how the sun works, how the moon works, you know, all of that, it's completely irrelevant when we're talking about the geometry of the Earth we're standing on. Because again, if the Earth is truly bending or curving, then we should be able to physically measure that curvature like this. Very simple.
But we can.
We can't.
Oh, yes, we can.
No, because water doesn't have the physical ability to hump in the middle, you know,
Not in
once
the
it's
middle.
contained in this.
It does arc with the geometry of the Earth.
But if that was true, then we should be able to measure every lake on Earth bending 8 inches per mile squared, which doesn't happen.
I don't know the exact numbers, but
Well, based on the radius, this is it. And you can Google it right now. You know, ChatGPT or even AI Google response will show you how much curvature should there be in 3 miles? 6 feet. You can Google it right now. Even the mainstream admits to that because they have to push these numbers. They have to. Because they're supposedly orbiting the Earth with satellites, right? So they need to know the radius of orbit. So they need to know the radius of the Earth if they're supposedly going around it. So they have to give us these numbers.
have you been to Lake Tahoe?
Yeah, I've been to several lakes. Maybe not that one in specific, but
That's a good example
Sure.
of a large lake that
Yes.
you can see across because there's mountains on the other side.
yeah.
And you can clearly make out stuff that's over there, but you cannot see the shore of the other side.
Yes, due to perspective. If you elevate, then you increase your angle of view and you're able to see the shore.
Yeah, because now the curvature, you get above the curvature, and now you can see down onto the
So again,
thing.
just debating back and forth whether, it's perspective, oh no, it's the curve. Well, guess what? There's a physical measurement we could do to see if that curvature is actually there. And this will show that it's not there and it's actually just perspective, not
But
the
it
curve
is
of it.
there.
Well, if you think it is,
You can measure it.
well, I've been in this subject, like I said, for over 10 years. Oh,
That
almost
doesn't-
10 years.
That doesn't help.
No,
prove
sure,
anything.
sure. It doesn't prove anything. My point is that this physical measurement has never been done to show curvature of the Earth. Now, let me ask you this. You're familiar with blueprints, right? So when engineers build like long bridges, for example, in China, there's a 100-mile long bridge, right? All of the blueprints are all going to show that all plumb lines are parallel to each other and all baselines are perpendicular to that. So all of the blueprints here on Earth when it comes to engineering and construction are all plumbs and levels, which wouldn't work on a globe because on a globe Earth, plumb lines cannot be parallel because all plumb lines are converging to a point. But in reality, all plumb lines are parallel regardless of distance. And you could look at
But they're
blueprints.
not. Have you ever heard of a pendulum?
A pendulum?
Yeah, you know how a pendulum works?
Yeah, because it's supposedly swinging, right?
Right.
But if you just have a pendulum,
And you know when a pendulum swings, it starts to precess.
right, they say that that's the spin of the Earth, supposedly.
That is the spin of the Earth.
But again, going back to the geometry of the Earth, whether it bends or not.
But the plumb lines, if they draw it on a flat surface, that's fine. It's an engineering model. But that's not the reality of the model. They took plumb lines out from one end of the thing. It would go straight down here, it goes straight down here, but they're not parallel.
They are parallel.
But
You
they're
can
not.
double check that yourself.
I can.
That's a
I could,
huge.
but-
That'll be a huge flaw in people's engineering work, obviously,
No.
because they
They're
don't
not-
take account of Earth's curvature and they assume all plumb lines are parallel.
But they do. Have you been on a bridge? You notice that there's little separator lines on them. The thing is not one flat surface. It is a bending
I
surface.
would agree that at the ends of the bridge, it kind of does lean back a little bit like this, and that's just to support the structure, and they do account for that. You know, the true plumb on one side of the bridge, we'll say, and then another plumb at the end of the bridge to say that bridge is 20 miles across. Those two plumb lines are going to be parallel to each other.
Not if you took a laser interferometer that could measure those things precisely, it will not be parallel.
It will.
No.
It will. Well, again, at the end of the day, water doesn't have the ability to hump, and you believe it does, but yet you don't have any practical examples, I would say, to show where that logic is coming from, other than images that they show us on TV, and that is why you believe that that's possible. I'm showing actual physics. If you go to, I'm sorry.
How does weather work?
Well, weather obviously.
Hurricanes that go from one to
Sure, obviously weather has to do with change of temperature, obviously, which is, in my opinion, maybe caused by the sun, the movement of the sun. So the movement of the sun, in my opinion, affects the weather.
I'm really scared of dogs.
Oh, okay. No, yeah, they're pretty unpredictable sometimes, yeah. That's a big dog, too.
I want to know because there's some hurricanes that'll start, say, over here on this
Sure.
coast, and if we're gonna go with the plane Earth theory, then how would this go from here all the way here? Wouldn't it just like peter out instead of just going? Unless it was a girl. That's just something for you. I gotta
Yeah.
go.
I
sure.
gotta go too.
All right, no
It's
worries,
been a
man.
fun discussion.
Yeah, appreciate
And,
that. Yeah,
good luck
definitely.
with your, I don't know what to call it.
Presentation. I appreciate it, man. You have a good one. All right. Damn, I forgot to close the window in the beginning of the conversation right there, but yeah. Now I'm glad that guy kind of joined after. You know, obviously he was giving his 2 cents, which obviously, you know, makes for a better discussion, you know, at the end of the day, so. No, yeah, it kind of trips me out, like the mental gymnastics people go through to try and explain away their model. For example, obviously with the ball Earth, it's crazy. Like, you know, like they start bringing up flight paths, you know, and start bringing up, you know, again, weather, you know, like they did. So it's like, it's crazy to see how, you know, the mental gymnastics again that people do go through to try to avoid the simple facts, you know. And I get it. Again, this is the biggest lie on earth, obviously. So people are not going to accept the facts right away. Maybe some people will, you know, a very small minority, you know, that don't really have a bias and actually do have some critical thinking skills and trust their own discernment and their common sense, right? These small group of people, the minority, will get it. And, you know, I luckily have come across a few, you know, at the end of the day. And, but again, I don't accept them to accept it right away, but at least they accept what's being presented, right? Now, to fully get convinced that we've been lied to about the Earth, about the shape of the Earth, you know, off of a 10, 15-minute conversation, obviously that's not going to happen, but at least, you know, those seeds were planted. You know, when people are honest and open and, you know, then the seed is planted for sure at that point, you know. But when people are pushing back, you know, and again, just using mental gymnastics to dismiss the simple demonstrations, right? Or the simple facts that show otherwise, then those people are going to have a harder time, you know, accepting reality for what it is. You know, I wouldn't say that the seed is not planted, because you could still plant a seed like that, you know, because now they're going to think about it. Even though they completely are against it, in my opinion, the seed was still planted, you know. But again, it's going to be harder for them to see it, to see the facts, you know, with clear eyes, because they just have so much smoke, you know, that, you know, too many beliefs in the way that's going to keep them from actually seeing the simplicity, for example, of the Earth and how it works, you know. So again, the fact that people have to believe that air is pushing helium up, but the air itself is not being pushed up, it's being pressed down. You know, a lot of people understand that simple fact, you know, doesn't make sense. You know, that the helium balloon goes in the opposite direction that the air is being pushed, you know, or the force, in other words. It just doesn't work, you know. So yeah, that was a good conversation overall. It sucks because I forgot to put flyers in my backpack because I think I only have one left. Yep, I only have one left. So I forgot to put flyers in my backpack, but I was like, oh shit, I have some in the glove box in my car, and I checked and they were there. I was like, oh shit, so when I park, I'm gonna put some flyers in my backpack, that way, you know, I have some to pass out, and damn, I forgot to put them. It fucking sucks. I parked, and then once I was set up here, I was like, wait a minute, I forgot to put the flyers in my backpack, so I only have one flyer to pass out. So I mean, people can take a picture of it. Luckily I have this. Let me see where it is. Oh, where is it? Okay, yeah, I laminated this, so it's basically the flyer just laminated, so people can take a picture of this if they want, you know. So this will be like the backup if I ever well, once I pass out the last flyer that I have, and if I ever do forget them in the future, then this could be a good little backup. They could give it a quick little read, you know, and take a picture of it if they'd like. But yeah, I'm gonna try not to forget them next time, because it's cool to just pass them out too when people are just passing by and they don't want to stop. You know, it's cool to just pass them out as well. So yeah. So yeah, I felt like that went pretty good. Again, the older gentleman, he was just adamant, you know, about his belief, and you know, again, I don't blame him. You know, he's older, obviously, and he you know, the core belief in the globe is, you know, it's even deeper, you know, with older people, in my opinion, because they've been indoctrinated even longer about that. So I can see why somebody that's older will defend it even more, right? You know, so yeah, obviously I was not gonna convince him at all. That was not my goal. I was just trying to make some valid, you know, concrete points that can't be denied, and ultimately he was denying them, you know. So yeah, that just shows that he would rather just have a comforting lie than the uncomfortable truth, you know. Because at the end of the day, this is an uncomfortable truth. You know, it does make people feel some type of way. You know, talking about the shape of the Earth, right? Or the Earth not being a globe, right? It does affect people at the end of the day. You guys want to give it a shot?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys can do it all together. It'll be easy.
Okay.
Yeah, all together, yeah. That way you guys are not singled out. So, two very easy questions. So we'll start with the first one.
Okay.
So here I have 3 box trucks, and there's a bowling ball hanging with the string inside the box truck. One box truck is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of these 3 trucks, which one is at rest?
This one.
Yes. What would you say, Vita?
Because it's not moving.
Yeah, obviously it's pretty easy, right? So which one's accelerating forward?
This one.
Yes. How do you know that one's accelerating forward?
It's going backwards. Inertia.
Yes, inertia. So when you accelerate the...
Ain't no 5th grader know that.
If you explain it to them, obviously inertia is like a big word, but if you explain it to a 5th grader, this is 5th grade logic. They will understand that, you know, when you accelerate in this direction, the heavier object is going to appear to go in the opposite direction. Pretty easy. So yeah, due to inertia. You know, the bowling ball, you could say, is being left behind because it's staying in the same position in space. So the second one is pretty similar, but instead of a bowling ball, it's a helium balloon. So out of these 3, which one is at rest?
That one.
Yes, and it's for the exact same reason as the first one, obviously, because it's not moving. Which one's accelerating forward?
This one?
Hey?
Oh, it's C.
It's actually C. Yes, you got it. Why do you think it's C? Why is it C?
Because isn't helium less dense than air?
Yes, yes. But what about the helium being less dense than air? What do you think is happening?
I don't know.
So it does have to do with that. So the reason why is C is because obviously the air is more dense than the helium. So when you accelerate the box truck in this direction, for example, all of the air inside of the truck is also being pushed in that direction because of the force of the truck. So because air is more dense than helium, it's able to push the helium balloon in the same direction that the acceleration is happening.
I see.
So I can demonstrate that here, for example. So that's what we will call buoyancy, when a less dense object gets pushed by the medium that surrounds it, right? So this is a buoyant object in here, right? A buoyant ball. And water is more dense. If I accelerate in this direction, what do you think is going to happen with the ball? Is it going to go forward or back?
Forward.
Yes, it goes forward. Again, because again, the water's more dense, so it's able to push it in the same direction as the force, right? So I did this experiment real quick in a cargo van. I want to see if you guys can tell the difference. So again, I had a helium balloon tied to a string and an apple instead of a bowling ball. But what direction would you say I accelerated this cargo van? To the right or to the left? Forward. Right. Yes, you guys got it. Because not only does matter show you the instant I applied a force, but it also shows you the direction that the force is being applied. So the air, you could say that it's moving in this direction through space, and that's how it's able to push the helium, you know? And again, I did it in a smaller scale, a container filled with water with a ping pong ball that's buoyant and a steel ball. So what direction would you say I accelerated here? Yes, exactly. Because the buoyant object shows you the direction of the force that was being applied. Pretty easy, right? So this last one, I did a vertical acceleration. What that means is that I was holding an object, a water bottle like this, and I accelerated down vertically. So which one of these two would you say I accelerated down vertically? The one on the right or the one on the left? Yeah, the one on the right. That's obviously because you can see a change. Matter reacted to the acceleration, right? And this one didn't react at all. So let me ask you guys this. If I have an object like this and I'm holding it and I just simply released it into freefall, but didn't accelerate it, but just released it into freefall, do you guys believe gravity pulls it down to the earth?
Yes.
Yes, right? So they claim a 9.8 meters per second acceleration, right, in freefall. The one on the left was actually freefall, but we see that matter didn't react to that acceleration whatsoever. So I don't know if you guys knew gravity is just a theory. So a physical downwards force has never been detected or measured. So objects accelerating down in freefall has never been proven. So what's happening, right? Well, why does the object go down, right? So what's happening is that since we understand buoyancy always follows the direction of the force, right? If I have a helium balloon here on Earth and I release it, what direction does it go? What's pushing up the helium? Why does it go up?
Because it's less dense than air.
Yes, so the air is able to push it up. Again, in this example, it was the truck that was pushing the air to push the helium. On Earth, what's pushing up the air to be able to push up the helium?
I don't know.
What do you think?
No idea.
It's actually the ground. So the Earth itself is literally pushing up right now, and that's what's pushing up the air, which is able to push up a helium balloon. So the force of the Earth is actually a push, not a pull. So again, when you release an object into free fall, they claim that gravity pulls it down, right? But the reality is it's the Earth that comes up to the object. So the object didn't move down to the ground, it's the ground that moves up to the object. So that's the reality. So you guys, before you guys go, you guys believe the Earth is a ball, right?
Yes.
So if we could prove physically that the Earth is pushing up, right? Buoyancy shows us that. You guys understand that up is relative on a ball, right? So if you're standing here, up is this way, but if you're standing down here, up is in the opposite direction. And in every direction away from the center will be up on a ball. If we could prove that it's the ground literally pushing up against us and not pulling us down, how can the Earth move up in every direction at the same time if it was a ball?
No idea.
Right? It actually wouldn't work. That would mean the Earth will have to be expanding to be able to push up in every direction away from the center, which would mean it would explode, which wouldn't work. So in order for people to believe in the ball Earth theory, they first have to believe in the theory of gravity being a pulling force. Because if we could prove that it's the other way around, that it's actually a pushing force of the Earth, then the whole globe Earth concept falls apart. So that will be the number one proof to debunk the globe Earth, is the fact that gravity is not a pull, it's a push of the Earth. So that's the reason why you're stuck to the Earth, is because the Earth is constantly pushing up on you. And that's why we can't escape the Earth, because it's constantly just pushing up all the time. And that's why we have a buoyant effect here on Earth, is because the air, the pressurized air here on Earth is being pushed up and not down. You know, so that's the reality. So if I was to ask you guys respectfully, what's the number one proof that makes you believe the Earth is a ball? Or why do you guys believe the Earth is a ball?
You can't like see, you can't see everything. Like,
Okay, because you can't see like infinite,
Yeah.
right? So the I don't know if you guys have heard of perspective. So there is a limit to how far we can see. So
So you think the Earth is flat,
no, it's not flat. It's not flat. It's level, and there's a huge difference between level and flat.
but
So
you don't think it's a ball?
no, it's not a ball, 100%.
Okay.
So the fact is, again, the Earth is a level plane, not flat. And I'm gonna tell you the difference between flat and level.
Okay.
And we're all standing, and everybody's up is the same. So orientation here on Earth is singular, not relative. Everybody's up is the same. So flat is, the definition of flat, I'll get to the definition, is it's a surface with no bumps or indents, right? It's just a smooth surface. That's what flat would be. The Earth obviously has hills, valleys, mountains, right? So it's not flat. Level, on the other hand, is an orientation, which is horizontal. Level is horizontal, which is perpendicular to the vertical. And the vertical is the force of the Earth. So in order for something to be level, it requires a force. So the Earth is level perpendicular to the vertical, which is the push of the Earth, not a pull. That's the only thing they switched around.
Okay.
So I know you've heard of flat Earth, right?
Yep.
So flat Earth, a mainstream flat Earth is a psyop because they claim the Earth is motionless. So they don't claim the Earth is level because, again, they deny the Earth exerts a force. So again, the Earth does exert a force, but it's just a push. And that's what makes it level. It's the fact that it's moving up and it's level perpendicular to that motion. So that's the reality. So do you guys have any questions for me before you guys go about this subject?
No,
No?
thank you.
All right, you guys take care.
Good one.
All right. It was a little awkward at the end. It's like they were trying to walk away, but they didn't want to just walk away, so they were kind of just like I guess sitting through it. So it's a good thing I kind of just got through that one kind of quick. Kind of funny. I bet they regret stopping. Yeah, like they were just, again, you could just tell by the body language they were just trying to leave already. They were not even trying to say anything back. Like, you know, it was just their body language. Most of them were just looking at their phone. Like, yeah. Oh, fuck.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah, to be fair, like the number one proof usually for the globe Earth that people use is images from outer space, and the second one from that it's usually the boats disappearing over the horizon, right? With the fact that there's a limit to how far we can see, people believe that. You guys want to give it a shot? Super easy.
What are you talking about, man?
Super easy, man. Trust me, you guys will get it.
I feel like this is a it's a carnival type thing.
Nah, it's not a scam, that's for sure. Trust. You'll just gain knowledge, if anything.
Okay.
If anything, yeah. All right, cool. So, two questions, multiple choice. So this is the first one. So there's a box truck here with a bowling ball hanging with a string inside of the box truck. So one box truck is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of these three, which box truck is at rest?
Out of the three, which one is at rest?
Which one's at rest?
Completely at rest, wasn't moving at all prior.
No, it's just at rest. Oh, you said B?
Completely at rest, wasn't moving
Yeah.
at all.
Listening to prior to should be.
Yeah, it is B. It is.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
I'm not trying to trick you. It's pretty easy. No, yeah. So obviously the reason why is because the ball is not moving. It's not reacting. It's not swinging. You know, obviously. So that's the one that shows you that the one's at rest. Which one's accelerating forward?
Accelerating forward should be A.
I would like to agree.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is A. So how do you know it's A?
It's being left behind. So like
Yes.
the rope is tugging on the ball
Yes.
towards the direction.
And what's tugging the rope? The truck.
The truck.
Exactly. So the ball is being left behind due to inertia, because it's trying to remain in its position in space, pretty much because of inertia.
Right.
So yeah, pretty easy. See, you got it. So the second one, similar. This one's pretty similar, but except of a bowling ball, it's a helium balloon.
It's a helium balloon.
So here, the helium balloon is obviously less dense in the air. That's the only difference. But of these three, which one is at rest?
If prior conditions, like the truck isn't moving beforehand.
Yes.
That's what I said.
Yes, B. Yes, you got it. So it is B. For the same reason as the first one, obviously it's not moving, it's not reacting.
Yeah.
So out of these three, which one's accelerating forward?
It's the 5.
It should not. I feel like it should either detach to. It's attached to the bottom of the truck. I don't think it makes a difference either. It's still attached.
You guys still think it's A?
But I'm trying to remember last time I had to do that shit. 'Cause I remember I had to like get shit for a party.
No, okay. Yeah.
That was like really annoying.
Yeah.
But it's technically being. It's not like strictly attached to the truck. If that makes sense. Like it's a part of the helium. Yeah. It's like.
Okay. All right. Cool. It's actually C. So the reason why it's C, and it does have to do with the air being more dense, is when you accelerate the box truck forward, for example, all of the air that's inside of the box truck. No, the air inside of the box truck is also being pushed forward because it's trapped inside of the box truck. So because air is more dense than helium, is able to push it in that same direction that air is moving as well. Because again, the air inside of the box truck is also being moved because it's all accelerating, right? So again, because helium is less dense, it gets pushed in the direction of the force by the medium. Yes, obviously it is a closed system. You know, maybe I should make that more obvious, right? It's a closed system. But yeah, I have an example here. For example, so that's what we'll call buoyancy, when the less dense object gets pushed by the medium that surrounds it. That's more dense, right? So this is a buoyant object, for example. Here, water is more dense than this ball. If I accelerate in this direction, what direction will the ball go? Front or back? Yeah, if I accelerate this container in this direction, what direction will the ball react? Forward or back?
Ball is.
The water's more dense.
Yeah. Should be floating. It's the same
Same principles.
Should be the same direction where
Yes.
the water is going.
Yeah. See, it gets pushed forward. Yeah. Perfect. So obviously the buoyant object will always react to acceleration, and it will always get pushed in the same direction as the force.
Yeah.
Right? So here, let me show you this real quick. I did this experiment myself in a cargo van with a helium balloon and an apple. So based on these principles that we just seen, what direction did I accelerate there? To the right or to the left?
The helium.
Yeah, what direction did I accelerate the van, the whole container? To the right or to the left? To the right. Exactly. Because again, not only does matter show you the exact moment I accelerated, it shows you the direction I accelerated as well, because the helium gets pushed in that direction by the air. And again, I did it in a smaller scale too, again with a water container with a ping pong ball and a steel ball. Obviously the ping pong ball is the buoyant object in there. What direction did I accelerate here? To the right, exactly. So again, matter will always react to acceleration 100% of the time, right? So I did a vertical acceleration down. So I was holding a water bottle like this, and I accelerated one down vertically. Out of these two, which one would you say I accelerated down? The one on the left or the one on the right?
This one.
The one on the right? Yeah, exactly. Because obviously matter reacted. Yeah, pretty easy, right? Pretty easy to understand these principles. So here's the thing. If I have an object like this, for example, and I didn't accelerate it down, but just simply released it into free fall, do you believe gravity pulled it down to the earth? Like if I have a water bottle, right, and I released it,
Yeah.
right? You believe that gravity accelerates it down in free fall?
The whole container.
Yeah, the whole container.
Yes.
Okay. So here's the thing. The one on the left was actually free fall. I just released it into free fall, but we see that matter didn't react to that acceleration. There was no change.
Isn't it the fact that it's falling and then we kind of like stop the force of the gravity like abruptly? That's what causes the buoyant object to move.
No, well, the buoyant object moves because the medium that surrounds it has pressure. And depending on the direction of that pressure that's being applied, that's the direction that the buoyant object is going to follow. Right? In free fall, there's zero pressure acting on the bottle. So that's why there is no effects of acceleration, because I don't know if you guys knew, gravity is just a theory. So a physical downwards force of gravity has never been detected or measured. So objects actually don't accelerate down towards the earth. It's actually the earth that actually comes up to the object. So how do we know that? Because buoyancy always follows the direction of the force, correct? If I have a helium balloon here on Earth and I release it, what direction does it go? It goes up, exactly. So why do you think it goes up?
Because the helium is less dense than air.
Yes, exactly. So it's being pushed up by the air because air is more dense. So in this scenario, it was the truck that pushed the air that pushed the helium. What's pushing up the air here on Earth to be able to push up the helium?
pushing the. Sorry, is it again?
So what's pushing up the air that's here on Earth to be able to push up the helium? Because the air has to be moving in the same direction that the helium is being pushed.
Yeah.
If the air's pushing it, then the air has to be moving in that same direction. Again, in this example, it was the truck that created that force of the air pushing on the helium. What's creating the force here on Earth that's pushing up the air to be able to push up the helium? Is actually the ground you're standing on. So the Earth itself, it's pushing up against you right now. It's not pulling you down. And that's why gravity as a pulling force is just the theory, because it's actually the other way around. So when you have an object and you release it into free fall, it looks like the object accelerates down, but that's because everything is moving up to the object. So this is simply losing momentum due to inertia. So just like the bowling ball is being left behind, right? And the tension's coming from the truck, this is being left behind and the pressure's coming from the Earth. So this doesn't move down, it's the Earth that moves up to the object, right? So if we could prove physically that it's the ground pushing up on you right now and not pulling you down, because buoyancy shows us that, right? You guys believe the Earth is a ball, right? So do you guys understand?
Debatably, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
So do you guys understand that on a ball, up is relative? In other words, if you're standing here, up is in this direction. If you're standing down here, up is in this. In every direction away from the center will be up on a ball.
Right.
If we could prove that the literal ground is pushing up on us right now and not pulling us down, how can the Earth move up in every direction at the same time if it was a ball?
Moving up.
Yes, relative to where you're standing, it's pushing up. So it's pushing up in every direction away from the center. How can that work if it was a ball?
Stumped.
Yeah. So the fact is, it wouldn't work because that would mean the Earth will have to be expanding.
Yeah.
Yes, which would just explode. So in order for people to believe in the ball Earth theory, they first have to believe in the theory of gravity being a pulling force. Because if we could prove that it's the other way around and it's actually pushing up, then that wouldn't work from a globe Earth. So that would debunk the whole globe Earth concept. That the force of the Earth is a push, not a pull. So that would be the number one proof to debunk the globe. So if I was to ask you guys respectfully, what's the number one proof that makes you guys believe the Earth is a ball?
Feels right.
It feels right, and if I look like over a long distance, like the objects get smaller a little bit.
Yes, they do get smaller.
So
Why do you think they get smaller?
because of the curvature, a little bit. I don't know.
No. Well, there is a limit.
No?
No, so the reason why objects appear to get smaller at a distance is because we have a limit to how far we can see.
Yeah.
So the angles of light entering our eye changes the further they go out. So those lines, something that's like say at eye level or above eye level, if it just moves away from you, it appears to go down, and then the bottom appears to go up. So that convergence is what makes objects appear to get smaller, because it's a convergence of our eyesight that's happening. So there's a limit of how far we can see, and the horizon is the limit of perspective. A lot of people think the horizon is the curve of the Earth. Sorry. So, but the reality is the horizon is just the limit of perspective. The horizon is not a geometric thing that's happening. It's happening in our eyes. It's just it's how far we can see.
So it'd still be there if we lived on a flat.
Yeah, if
It is.
yeah. So again, if a boat appears to go over the horizon, it's just simply going out of view. It's out of our field of view.
It might be falling off the edge.
No, so the Earth doesn't have an edge. So, and the reason why is because you understand that at sea level there is 14.7 psi of air pressure, right?
I'll take that.
Allegedly. We have air pressure here on Earth. How about that? We don't even have to give a number. We have air pressure here on Earth. In order to maintain air pressure and not lose air pressure, the air has to be physically being contained somehow. So that's the law of entropy. Because if you have two opposing pressure systems, in order to maintain those two opposing pressure systems, you need a solid barrier separating the two. Because if you connect them in one container, you're going to have equilibrium. So high pressure will always rush into the lower pressure to equilibrate the air. They're claiming outer space is a negative pressure next to the Earth's pressure without a solid barrier separating the two, which defies the second law of thermodynamics and entropy. So the Earth is being physically contained somehow. So that's why you wouldn't fall off the edge.
Yeah.
Because literally the air is being physically contained. You know, that's the only way to maintain air pressure. There is no other way. They claim gravity is holding the air in, right? And that's why it doesn't go into space. But gravity, again, is just the theory to explain away the globe Earth model. Because that's how they explain orbits as well. you know, and all of these other, airplanes flying level over a curve, it's because gravity autocorrects it. So gravity is the explanation to everything that doesn't make sense. Because again, gravity is a requirement of the globe Earth, because without a pulling force of gravity, you don't have a model at all. So again, if we could prove that it's a pushing force of the Earth, then that easily debunks all of these claims about outer space and the geometry of the Earth as well, because it wouldn't work. So other than the horizon is, other than that, because obviously we do have a limit to how far we can see, and that can be replicated and demonstrated on a smaller scale as well. Is there anything else that makes you believe the Earth is a ball?
There's a pretty famous study. It was like it was actually done by flat earthers. Where they pointed a laser pointer through a hole, and if it was flat, it should directly go through the other hole, but it didn't. So
okay, so let me easily debunk that. Easy, and I'm gonna show you a better measurement than that after. But
wait, how about like?
Well, let me explain that one first.
Okay.
Try to keep that thought though. Keep that thought. Okay, if I shine a laser through water, do you think that laser is gonna go straight?
No. Something.
What happens?
You get water diffraction.
Yes. You understand that the air is it's basically moisture in the air, right? So if I shine a laser through the air, there's gonna be atmospheric refraction as well. So any laser experiments of straight line laser experiments are always gonna be inconclusive because of refraction. Right. So how do we actually get an accurate measurement of the Earth? There is one way actually. But before I get to that, do you know the radius of the Earth they tell us?
Not right now. No.
Okay, it's you can look it up. It's 3,959 miles, the radius. So obviously we multiply that times 2, we get the diameter, and if we multiply that times pi, we get the circumference. So the circumference of the Earth is 24,901 miles, allegedly. So based on the curvature of the Earth, they're telling us there has to be curvature every mile, and every mile it has to increase based on the numbers that we're given. So in the first mile, there should be an 8-inch drop, second mile, 32 inches, and by the third mile, there should be 6 feet of measurable curvature. And in 10 miles, there should be 66 feet. So based on the numbers they're giving us, how do we measure for that? So we go to a giant lake that's miles across, for example. If we physically build a level structure over the water is going to show us it's going to be parallel to anything horizontal above it, because that's what the physics of water is. It's when you have water contained and at rest, the surface always forms an equal surface, which is level, which is horizontal. They're trying to tell us that the surface of a lake is bending 6 feet in 3 miles, which is a physical impossibility, in other words. So that's based on the curvature of the Earth. So again, if the gap is 5 feet between the level structure and the water, they're claiming there's going to be a 6 feet differential between that starting point and the end point of that water, which will be a 6 foot drop or 6 foot curve. But that physical measurement of the Earth curve has never been done, because again, water would simply debunk that. Because again, water doesn't have the ability to hump and maintain a shape like Jello. Because water, obviously, again, it can support itself. In other words, it just collapses and forms an equal surface 100% of the time, regardless of distance. They're claiming, however, that, no, it is regardless of distance. Only on small scale it doesn't bend, but at a large scale they do.
Like,
but again,
who's they in this scenario?
I'm sorry?
Who's they in this scenario?
Globe Earth defenders,
Okay.
I would say, mainstream scientists like Neil deGrasse Tyson, Brian Cox, stuff like that, But the reality is the physics of water, again, doesn't have the physical ability to maintain a shape on the surface. So this will be the number 2 proof to debunk the globe Earth, is the physics of water. When containing at rest shows that there is no convexity of the Earth. Because you guys heard of the term sea level, right? How we measure heights and depth from the datum line of sea level. Level meaning horizontal. So that horizontal line is the baseline that we use to calculate height and depth. Yeah. It's all done from a baseline that's horizontal, which is the sea. So the oceans are horizontal. They're not curving like they tell us. Right. So if I was to ask you guys, or you, for example, why do you believe the Earth is a ball? What's the number 1 proof?
Curvature, gravity.
So gravity, like I said, you probably missed the first part. So gravity, I don't know if you knew, is just a theory. So a pulling force of gravity has never been measured or detected. So what's happening is the force of the Earth is a push, not a pull. So go for it.
Sorry, you should finish.
So the ground is literally pushing up on you right now. It's not pulling you down towards it. And that's why we can't escape the Earth, because the Earth is constantly pushing up on you. So that's why you're stuck to the Earth, not because it's pulling you down. Do you guys have any questions before you go, or
how would you debunk like someone circling around the alleged globe.
So you're talking about circumnavigation?
Circumnavigation.
Okay, perfect. So circumnavigation relies on the magnetic north, right? When you go east and west, you have to point a compass north, and then you go perpendicular to that west and east, right?
Yeah.
So if the Earth is a level plane and north, let's say it's here, we'll say is a center point, and you have a magnet pointing north, if you go west or east using the magnetic north, you're eventually just going to make a circle and come back to the same spot. So that would work from a level plane or a globe. What nobody's ever done is gone south to come back under the ball and over again to come back to. Nobody's ever done that. Because in my opinion, if you just go south, you're going to reach the extremities of the Earth, which will be a container, in my opinion, not the edge. So what happened again? That's what will happen if you go south, in my opinion.
What's like the container?
I don't know what the container is. I know I hate to bring up Bibles because I'm not biblical myself or religious at all, but the Bible talks about a firmament, for example, separating the waters above from the waters below. That's what, I'm not religious myself, but that's just one explanation.
Like a something unknown to us right now.
Yes, yes. In my opinion, the governments probably have found this container.
Right.
And it was around in my opinion, maybe around the 1940s when NASA was established. So in my opinion, they established NASA around that time when they found the end of the Earth because they didn't want us to find out what they found out. Right. So they're just lying to us about what the reality actually is. So I know you guys believe the heliocentric model, right? In outer space and everything. The fact is geocentric. So everything about outer space that we're being told about other Earth-like planets and terra firmas, all of that is just made up. So everything about outer space is CGI. So I'm gonna give you guys a challenge. Try to find a genuine photograph of a satellite in space. When you put satellites in Google,
You need to find a genuine though, because I could go to the website and find a genuine photo, but then
No.
it's the classification.
No, if you go to Google right now and put satellite in space and go to images, they're all obviously cartoons. They don't even take the time to actually make a realistic one.
Yeah.
They're all obviously CGI. And in other words, a satellite from outer space doesn't exist. A photograph, a genuine photograph, and it's because they're not really going to outer space. That would mean they would have to leave the Earth containment system and somehow pop out on the other side, and again, that's just physically impossible.
Sucks for your rockets.
No, and not only that. You guys understand that like helicopters and airplanes, they do have a limit to how high they can fly. They
So,
only
like, for example,
yes.
like this is like a supposed picture,
Yeah.
hypothetically speaking.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
like,
no,
is
that's-
that like also CGI? Or?
So that, in my opinion, they use a lot of green screens and blue screens and augmented reality as well. So there's a lot of camera trickery that's going on. So for example, look, let me show you this.
Genuine question.
Yes.
'Cause I'm interested in this too. Who do you
Yes.
think actually did 9/11? Genuine.
I don't know. If I'm being honest, I don't
That's
know.
what?
I don't
That's
know.
like out of the bounds of this.
No, but like,
Yeah, I know he's trying to. I know what he's trying to do, though.
No. I mean,
That's a conspiracy
I'm
theory.
A genuine believer.
Sure. No, the fact is, I don't know.
It's an interesting circumstance. They put a lot of money right before it. That's interesting.
Yeah. So, simple fact: the only place you're ever going to see curvature of the Earth is through CGI images like this, because these are official NASA images, and they make them in a computer.
It's like iPhone wallpaper.
Yeah, exactly. It is. Yeah, I think it is. This one from 2002, and this one's from 2012. So they did use this one, I think, for the iPhone wallpaper. But yeah, NASA admits these are all made in a computer. They're all composites. The only place you're ever going to see curvature of the Earth is through CGI images like this, or through GoPro cameras that curve horizontal lines. So you guys are familiar with the fisheye lens, right? That wide-angle lens that warps horizontal lines. So when you see skydivers, for example, or people in high altitude using a GoPro camera, and they say, "Oh, look at the curvature, right? Look at it," it's just a camera warping effect. Because if you actually went to those altitudes, the horizon will always be horizontal. And here I have an example here of images with a standard camera over 20 miles in the sky. How would you describe the horizon geometrically?
It's pretty flat.
I would say horizontal. I would say the word horizon comes from the word horizontal. I mean, it's in the name,
That
literally.
checks out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So again, this is another proof that the Earth is not a globe. That the horizon is always horizontal, regardless where you are on Earth and how high you are.
So
You
like
know?
over there
Yes.
is like
No, it's the limit of perspective.
okay.
So when
it's
you're
not the container that we were
No.
talking about earlier.
No. So eventually, again, you will reach the container. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know, the color, the materials that it's made out of. I don't know none of that. All I know is that air pressure needs to be maintained in order to maintain air pressure. You can't have a container maintaining air pressure with a hole in it. It just doesn't work because of entropy.
Yeah.
But they're claiming outer space is an open system next to the Earth's pressure with no solid barrier separating the two, which again it defies physics. So the whole globe Earth model, everything about the globe Earth model defies physics. You know, so that basically these images defy physics. So if I showed you guys an image of me flying, would you guys believe I could fly?
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah.
No, I mean based on the globe Earth logic, then I wouldn't be surprised. But in using real logic, then obviously that's impossible. Yeah.
It's out there.
What if I showed you a video of me flying? Because video is more convincing, right?
Yeah, most.
But it
of
still
you're,
defies
like, an
physics.
independent person, and like it would be insanely hard for you as a
What if I showed you guys a video of me walking on water?
Do you actually help them?
No, I don't. I should make one to show you guys.
Dude.
I feel like if you could like perfectly recreate like a reflection on that water and like have it perfectly mimic how it should react, you deserve.
You probably.
I deserve to believe you. That's like so.
No, you'll probably be able to convince gullible people.
CGI skills?
That's how religions are formed, though. You convince people that you can do supernatural things, and now they start following you because they think you're godlike. Blah 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 blah. That's how religions are formed. When you start believing in the impossible, in the physically impossible. So obviously, if somebody shows me somebody walking on water, I've seen magic tricks like this before in person too. Of somebody walking on water, you're literally using like see-through tables that you can't see through water. But then people swim under it too to show. But in reality, it's just a see-through platform they're walking over. You can't see with the naked eye, and it looks like you're walking on water. So there's always going to be trickery. That's what magicians do for a living. They try to trick people's perceptions of things that defy physics. That's what the globe Earth is doing to us. They're just magicians trying to warp our perception about what this reality is using camera trickery instead of like a magician in real time.
I have a feeling that
Yes.
the fifth grader.
No. So
it's a good lead-in. It's a good lead-in. I must say.
I mainly do this to start a conversation, but here's the thing: the principles that debunk the globe Earth, which is buoyancy, in my opinion, are literally elementary logic. It's elementary physics.
My elementary wasn't too good.
No, I would say the education system is failing us in a sense where they're just dumbing people down nowadays. They're not teaching us how to think; they're teaching us what to think, and there's a huge difference between that. So that's why a fifth grader is not as sharp as they should be. Again, just repeating information and memorizing information is not being smart, which is what a lot of fifth graders do nowadays.
Need more than a pack.
You need to trust your common sense. You need to trust your own intuition. You need to go by the scientific method, which is measurable, testable, and repeatable. If you can't go through the scientific method, then it's bullshit, in my opinion, and you shouldn't be teaching it. So that's what they're doing to us in school. They're just mentally crippling us to just accept what we're being told so that we can accept a way of life, for example, as well.
But I mean,
I do agree, genuinely. But I do wonder what's the end game for the globe truthers? Because like something like, okay, a little risky, like 9/11, there's a genuine reason why you would want to or not to believe a certain narrative. Not saying anything on that, but for the globe truth, what's the end game? Like, what's like the governmental worldly game?
So
I'm not going to space.
So
I will never be there.
exactly. So let me ask you this: what's the end game for a religion, for example, like a cult? We'll say like a cult. What's the end game for that cult to lie to their people?
If you're evil, are there power and
You get to control people. You get to people do what you tell them to do. It's about control at the end of the day, right? Would you say when it comes to cults?
And follow-up question: what's the control garnered from me believing it's flat versus sphere?
Okay.
It doesn't change how I act.
Okay, I'm gonna answer both of those questions together. So obviously we understand that cults take advantage of people, and the benefit is that basically they take advantage of people. People do what they want. It's about control at the end of the day. The globe Earth is the biggest cult on Earth because not only are they lying to us about what this place actually is, people have to trust them to in other words, believe them what is actually happening. And not only that, once they gain people's trust about what this reality is, then they're able to like lie to them about an economy, for example, and a way of life. So it's about control.
That's a good way to put it. Like
you could say that. Yeah.
Have them believe this first.
Yes.
So sort of like.
So it's like a cheap shot on your common sense first to trust authority, so that then you trust authority about other subjects as well.
So like a lead-in.
Yes. It's kind of like a lead-in, exactly. So this is not about the shape of the Earth. It's about common sense, and about trusting your own common sense. That's what it is.
Okay.
So it's about control at the end of the day. That's why they do it. And I don't know if you knew, NASA, in my opinion, the biggest church on Earth gets over 70 million.
NASA as a church?
Well, NASA as a whole is a church, in my opinion. Well, it's an extension of a church, which is government is the church. In other words, government is no different than a church.
what constitutes a church?
So a church, in my opinion, has to have blind believers that literally pay and fund the church. I don't know if you knew, in every church ceremony, they always ask for money at the end, you know. So people have to blindly follow a church and literally willingly fund it. The Globe Earth is no different. People willingly fund it through our tax dollars, and they just blindly follow it.
But like, what's to say? Like, let's say in a church setting, right?
Yes.
Like, let's say a believer and like someone who's weak, right? The believer gets something out of it for sure, like in exchange for like not physical things, like let's say just like a purpose in life.
Sure.
Yeah, a purpose in life, but someone like gets something out of that too. So what's to say that it's not like? Who's to say like this is a bad?
Well, I would say that they are giving purpose. This system does give people purpose, like government gives people purpose, but in the wrong purpose. Like, for example, your purpose is to just work and pay taxes, and if you pay your taxes, you're a good citizen, and that's your purpose. So this system, government, does give people a false purpose.
Gotcha.
So it's not our true purpose. That's the reality. That the reality is nobody can tell you what your true purpose is other than yourself. No religion can tell you. Yeah, that's the reality. But government does that for people. You know. So again, government is just a church. I don't know if you knew, before government, it was church that ruled everything, that governed the people.
Some type of
Yeah, and then what happened is that science became more prominent. So it became science versus religion, right? So what happened is the government took over the science domain to go against religion. But the fact is, this government is just another religion in disguise.
Yeah.
So they're both just two different religions supposedly opposing each other, but they're not. It's just two churches.
I do agree, but it's just like thinking plainly. Even like I still don't see like the entire purpose of like the faking the Globe Earth thing. It seems so annoying. Like they already can get away with this with like smaller incidents. You know, like why go through all that effort, right, for something that I don't care.
Because it kind of separates, in my opinion, men from the boys. That's what it does. So the Globe Earth, boys from the men.
Boys to men.
Yeah, boys to men. So in my opinion, this subject does separate the true independent thinkers from just the sheep followers. So and if you're a sheep follower, in other words, if you believe in the Globe Earth, then you're just gonna follow. That's what sheep do.
I feel like a sheep follower more so is like entirely dependent on a governing thought. Like, for example, someone who is strictly conservative, they follow strictly conservative ideals even though they don't align with themselves.
Right.
And you can say the same thing about conspiracy theorists. Like, for example, 9/11. I'm not bringing this up.
It's like the fourth time you bring it up. He's bringing it up, not me.
I'm being genuine. 9/11, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean,
what
here.
are you trying to do?
Here, you could give this a read. Yeah, that's my channel right there.
Yeah.
Can we get one of those afterwards?
Actually, that's my last one, but you can take a picture here.
Over here first.
No, I know. You guys could take a picture of this. That's the exact same thing, front and back. You guys could take a picture.
Okay. That's cool, dude.
What do you teach or what?
I do teach about this subject. Yeah.
For strong? What is it? What's up?
Well, I'm doing this independently. I don't have any gain other than my free time.
Oh.
But yeah, I teach about. You've heard about people questioning the shape of the Earth?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the Earth is not a ball. That's the reality. So I'm here teaching people why.
You're a
is.
science?
Yeah, you could say I'm into science. Sure. Yeah.
Did you come here?
I didn't come here. No, I'm just here visiting. Yeah, I'm just here challenging the current narrative. That's what I'm doing here.
What have you gotten? Any responses?
The same responses every time. You know, I believe the globe because they show me pictures of it, and stuff like that. But physical science, natural science here on Earth shows that the Earth is not a ball and it's actually a level plane. So yeah, you can check out my channel. I go to other universities as well, USC, UCR, and I come here as well. Yeah.
How long have you been
Come
doing
to
it?
UCI.
3 years.
UCI. I go to UCI. Dude, come to UCI.
UC Irvine?
Yes.
Yeah, I've gone there only once.
What?
Yeah, I've only gone there once.
You don't like it?
Eh.
Is it because the people were born? They don't like combat you at all?
To be honest, when I went, it was kind of dead. Like, it wasn't that, busy.
It's crazy dead, dude. Everyone like.
Yeah, UCR is actually pretty packed compared to UCI. I go to UCR a lot. This is my second time here, by the way.
I feel like people.
Yeah,
Used,
yeah. Thank you.
I feel like probably because people UCR are more like normal. As in, they have like a set of social obligations. You know what I mean?
Yes, I noticed that. I get a lot of conversations at UCR too. I go to USC, and believe it or not, there's a lot of students that walk through my table, but I get way less conversations there. William. Yeah, it's on the flyer there.
Okay.
Oh yeah, appreciate it, man. Yeah, take care. So yeah,
9/11.
9/11.
Okay,
Sure, yeah.
Anyway, I feel like if you want to make that argument, I feel like it's kind of like it's a little too loose. Like you're making this sweeping claim, like do this, you must believe this. But I feel like the most common attribute of like a sheep thinker or whatever you call it is following a set of rules rather than picking and choosing off of your own judgment. Like for example, the Goldberg thing, whatever, right? You could choose to not believe or not believe it, but that doesn't explicitly mean you don't believe in other things, right? Like, sure, you can put it as a landmark, but true free thinkers are not going to be like attached to like I can't believe this because I believe the Earth is round. Like,
I kind of see where you're
it's
getting.
like a weird denomination that you're making right now. Even if I do or do not agree with the Goldberg thing, I guess, right?
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. I feel like it's really counterintuitive to make this separation for like kind of no reason.
Like he said, it's kind of like a stepping stone or like a step in. Yeah, like a gateway, exactly. And I'm gonna tell you
Why would you need a gateway if you're a true
to gain
thinker?
people's trust. So
yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you're a true free thinker, you don't need this gateway. You choose. If I care about something enough, like.
But here's the thing: when I believed in the globe Earth, sure.
Sorry. But if I believe in something enough, I research it myself. Like if I cared enough about the Earth being a globe or not, I would look into it. I guess I would be able to combat in a more effective way. I don't care if it's flat. That's kind of cool too. I guess.
So I'm gonna give you my experience because I can only speak for myself. So when I believed in the globe Earth almost 10 years ago, I accept almost 10 years ago. I'm 33.
Hey, dude, you look good for 33.
Oh yeah, thank
Not
you.
even like that's not even old, but like.
No, yeah, I appreciate that, man.
You look tired.
Yeah, thank you, man. So I believe everything about government. So I never second guess government. So everything that I heard from government, their sources, I took it at face value. So I completely trusted the government. Ever since I came across this subject, not only once I realized that holy shit, all the physical evidence shows that it's physically impossible, and I looked into it, I researched it because I cared about it. Once I realized that holy shit, they are lying to us, right? I accepted it. Then I was like, holy shit, what else are we being lied to? So it's kind of like a gateway in the other way around. Once you start questioning this, you start questioning everything. So you start realizing like, holy shit, we're being lied to about our nature of the existence of this place, because not only are they lying to us about the shape of the earth, but that also comes with they're lying to us about this place being a creation. So this place 100% was created from something. And even science, the science community was this reality, this earth, this existence, this experience we're experiencing right now did come from something. Because even the first law of thermodynamics, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only transform from one form to another, right?
Yeah.
This reality didn't come from nothing. So it came from something. Not only that, the fact that everything is intelligently designed so that we fit perfectly within it, like the way we breathe air, the way our lungs expand when we, to be able to breathe, everything, the way the mind works, our blood cells, our veins, and everything is intelligently designed, 100%, no doubt in my mind. How was it intelligently designed, and what God created it? I don't know. That's where religion comes in to try to fill in the hole and try to control people. Yeah. So, in my opinion, this is important because not only do you start to gain your own common sense back, you start to trust your own intuition and your own discernment over what people are saying, especially if what you're seeing contradicts what they're saying. Mm-hmm. Like if physics shows me something different than what you're saying, then I'm gonna go with what I know, especially if you can't show me what you're saying, So again, if somebody claims to me, I can walk on water, blah, 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 I know that's physically impossible. You can't walk on water. You're too dense to walk on water. That's obvious. That's a physical fact. That's a fundamental fact of our reality. So anybody making the contrary claim to that, not only are you bound to prove it, but I'm not going to believe it until you can physically prove it. And that's what the globe Earth offers. So again, it's all about gaining people's trust, and throwing our common sense away so that then we're more easily controllable. Right. That's what it comes down to, is to make us more easily controllable. So again, it's not about the shape of the earth, it's about control. And yes, and this is just a cheap shot on our common sense to make us more easily controllable. Because that's what the goal is. It's for control. And we do follow the rules. Like you were saying, you have to just blindly follow the rules to be in a cult or just to believe. We do. That's what laws are. I do get that there are human rights, and I respect human rights, especially the Bill of Rights, the first 10. But when it comes to just other laws, like just made up laws, such as like paying taxes, for example, and just stuff like that, those are laws there just to control us. Those are rules to control us. And there's a lot of laws and rules that violates our rights. I don't know if you knew that, which they shouldn't, but they do. Like, for example, getting checked at an airport. Again, it was because of 9/11.
That's
You know,
what I was like-
but now
that's what I was
they're
like,
but now
there's
they're
good-
violating.
There's genuine good immediate precedents
No.
where, like, I could see if it did or did not happen.
No, yeah.
I could see genuine precedent. Like, there's immediate results, which maybe that's why I'm like not excited
No, yeah.
about thinking for the vote, because that's like that's a long term plan.
Sure.
I'm not even thinking too short term.
Sure.
And if 9/11 was or wasn't, that's a short term plan, and there
Sure.
was genuine precedent.
Sure, but the thing is that, in my opinion, they use that kind of an excuse as well to be able to check people when they go into flights, flying in and out. Now they're violating people's Fourth Amendment right to privacy when you board a plane. You know,
Just in general, too.
so that's just some of the laws that they're implementing that take advantage of us and that we just blindly follow. You know,
Did you see that shit with the Trump? What's it called? It was with this like horrible software company. They wanted to deploy like a citizen database.
Okay.
Where like they try. This is not genuinely not like a theory thing. This is like genuine in the talks. I wish you remember the what it was called. The company and the product they wanted to start loading to like pretty much just track everyone. It's like stupid. It's insane. Okay.
right, okay, yeah. I would say that. Again, it just comes down to control at the end of the day.
Does that fall into like the control aspect? You think like global Earth, like president was a gateway to that kind of like implementation later on, like controlling
It's a long.
citizens?
I feel like it's a long con. Right?
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Sure.
You do make a good point. I guess if you wanted to really, really get a nice grasp on the
Yes.
balls,
Yes.
you gotta dine them first.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Oh, yeah. So that's what it comes down to, because a lot of people can get over that. Like, but what was the point though? But why lie about the shape of the earth? You know, like, and it's just people just can't get over that hump. That it's not about the shape of the earth per se. You know, it's about control. It's about controlling people's minds and perception about the reality. Yeah, think about that. So that's what it's about.
What like other? Because this can't be like it's not a smart plan to just like have one gateway. You know, like what other things besides the global Earth theory?
I mean,
are they using?
Well,
I mean,
religion.
to be fair, it is. If hypothetically, it would be a great gateway because like you're in like the deep minority, right? So like you can't, hypothetically, it's like an amazing gateway. It's like a crack. Crack did wonders. Genuinely.
Did wonders for some. For some.
Big
Sure.
stuff,
Sure.
Yeah.
Good job, dude.
No, yeah. So yeah. I mean, any questions about this subject? Specific. Any other questions? I mean,
What do you think is the more immediate gain of this? This is just an intro, but from this, what's like the most important thing you've questioned that you mentioned earlier?
to be honest, this is the biggest lie on earth, in my opinion. What the shape of it.
Let me reshape my question.
Yes,
then.
yes.
What do you think is the more important lie? Because this is important maybe for forming like the thought process of the common citizen. But after that deployment, what do you think is something they're lying about that genuinely does have an impact on like day-to-day life? Other than, I know like thinking is very important, right? But let's say something more physical, real. You said taxes, but don't say that. You already said
yeah. So again, it just comes back to a way of life. Way of life. At the end of the day. So we're all being governed by governments, obviously, which dictate how we should live our lives. In every country you go to, it doesn't matter if you go to Europe, the UK, everybody pays their taxes like good little citizens, everybody works, and everybody just does what they're told. So the problem is not civil obedience, it's not civil disobedience, it's civil obedience. That's the problem. So that I would say that's the bigger issue when it comes, other than the shape of the earth, is civil obedience. That's what it comes down to.
When you say like governments dictate
Yes.
the common man's action,
Yes.
like isn't there like a wiggle room? Like they're not gonna tell me to like go to exactly.
So the freedom of choice they give us is an illusion. So they're giving you a freedom of choice between Coke and Pepsi. They're giving you the choices already. And then you have the freedom of choice to choose between the two. But what if I didn't want any? What if I wanted something completely different?
Like
We don't have that choice. We don't have true freedom of choice, in other words. They give you a Republican and a Democrat, and then you have freedom of choice now between them two. But it's not true freedom of choice. It's limitation.
I get what you mean. I was thinking
Yes.
like maybe more specific. That is ties into what you were saying.
Yes.
Okay, I gotta grab one. It's like 30 minutes of my lunch break.
Okay, no worries, man. All right, man. It was a pleasure, man.
Yeah, man, can we get a picture?
Yeah, definitely.
Wait, how are we gonna do this? Who's the longest arm? I'm like 5'6", bro.
I'm like short.
You're also like 5'6". We're like, all, are you taller?
Yeah, I'm tall. I'm short. I'm short. So I have short arms too.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I could stay in the middle. You guys could stand right here and then just kind of like angle it down. There you go.
Maybe like a 45.
There you go. There you go. That's perfect. There you go.
Bro,
You're gonna get a cramp.
Hold it.
Okay, you can get your picture, dude. At this point.
No.
You get your picture.
I need to get my phone.
Okay, yeah. Stacey's.
Thanks so much.
This is genuinely pretty tight. Dude.
This is
No, yeah,
This is
appreciate it,
actually
man.
pretty tight.
Appreciate it, man.
I don't particularly agree about gold.
No,
But
I don't expect you to.
I think some common for those ones. But I think there is good precedent for why you would want to have a good control over your relationship.
Yes.
Person's mindset.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. All right, man. Appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good one. Yeah, you too. Hi. So you guys want to give this a shot?
Sure.
Really easy. Really easy. So let's get started with the basic. I know I had a lot going on right here right now, but bear with me.
What is this for? Can I ask?
I'm sorry?
Oh, what is this for? I was just
Well, I have a YouTube channel.
Oh,
I
cool.
just share the conversations I have in public.
What's your YouTube channel?
I'll give it to you after.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So, all right, let's start with this one. These are the two questions. Very easy. So, we'll start with this one. So, I have a bowling ball hanging with a string inside of a box truck, and the box truck is completely sealed. Right? It's inside the box truck, and one box truck is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So, out of these three, which one is at rest?
at rest.
At rest.
This one.
Yes. Yeah. Why do you say that one's at rest?
So it's not moving.
Exactly.
That's
Pretty
right.
easy. Which one's accelerating forward?
This one.
Yes. How do you know that one's accelerating forward?
Direction. I don't know.
It pushes it back.
Right, because of inertia.
Yeah, inertia, that's
So
right.
obviously,
Law of motion.
yeah. So the box truck accelerating forward in this direction gives us this effect: the bowling ball being left behind.
Okay.
It's basically being left behind
Okay.
because of inertia. It's resisting
Yeah.
the motion.
Okay.
So, all right. So the
Okay.
second one is pretty similar, but instead of a bowling ball, it's a helium balloon, obviously tied to a string. So
Okay.
out of these three, which one is at rest?
B.
Yes, and it's for the exact same reason as the first one, because it's not moving. Which one's accelerating forward?
C.
Yes, you got it. How did you know it's C?
Because the balloon is. I don't know how to articulate it, but because it's not solid, and it,
Okay.
it pushes forward.
It's because it's less dense than the air.
Exactly.
So yeah, and it's because when you accelerate the truck in this direction, all of the air that's inside the truck, it's also accelerating through space in that same direction. So because air is more dense than helium, is able to push it in the same direction as the force. So again, that's what we will call buoyancy, right?
Buoyancy.
Buoyancy. You guys heard of buoyancy, right?
I don't remember.
So when you have a ball and you push it underwater, and you know it pushes
Yeah,
back.
it's like-
It's buoyant, so it floats in water.
Okay.
Right. So that's what a helium balloon does the same. It floats in air.
Okay.
Because helium is less dense in air.
Okay.
So again, depending on the direction the air is being pushed, that's the direction the helium is also going to get pushed because the air is able to push it in that same direction.
And this one like is reversing.
And this one is reversing.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. Because that's how the helium balloon will react.
Okay.
Exactly. So, and I can show that here. Look, this is a buoyant object inside of a water container, obviously. So if I accelerate in this direction, what direction do you think the ball is going to go?
You go this way.
Yes.
This way.
No. It goes with the direction
It
of
goes
the
more
force.
to the direction of the force.
Yes.
Okay.
See? The initial acceleration.
Do it again.
Yeah, do it again. In the initial acceleration, the ball's going to go forward.
Okay. Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah.
Because acceleration causes that push, you know,
Okay.
of the medium, and then the medium is able to push the less dense object.
Okay.
You know, that, again. So here, let me show you this. I did this experiment in a cargo van with the helium balloon and an apple. So based on these principles, what direction would you say I accelerated this? To the right or to the left?
To the right.
To the right.
Exactly. Because not only does matter show you the instant I accelerated, but it also shows you the direction I accelerated.
Yeah.
Because again, in order for the helium balloon to get pushed in that direction, the air also has to be getting pushed in that same direction. So again, and I did it on a smaller scale, just to prove the point. A water container with a ping pong ball and a steel ball. So what direction would you say I accelerated here?
The same way. The right.
Yes, same way. Again, because again, the buoyant object
Yeah.
got pushed in that direction by the
Exactly.
water, which got pushed by me, obviously. You know, obviously. So perfect. So I did one last one. But in this one, I did a vertical acceleration. So I was holding a water bottle in my hand, and I only accelerated one of them down vertically. Which one of these two would you say I accelerated down? The one on the left or the one on the right?
This one?
The one on the right? Yes, that's the obvious one. Because obviously, not only can you see a change happening,
Yeah.
The matter basically reacted to that acceleration. This one, there was no reaction. There was no change, right?
Right.
So let me ask you guys this. If I'm holding a container like this, and I just simply released it into free fall, I didn't accelerate it, but just released it into free fall, do you believe gravity pulled it down to the earth?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. The one on the left was actually free fall. So we can see that matter didn't react to that acceleration because I don't know if you guys knew, gravity is just the theory. So a physical downwards force of gravity has never been detected or measured. So a downwards acceleration of matter has never been actually detected or measured.
It's just that we like, it's the label we give for like the reaction of things falling down.
Yes. So what's actually happening there is, if we understand buoyancy always follows the direction of the force, right? If we have a helium balloon here on Earth, right? And I release it right now, what direction does it go?
Up.
Why does it go up?
Because it's buoyancy.
Because of buoyancy.
Yeah.
But what's pushing up the helium?
The air.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So in this example, it was the truck that was pushing the air, that was pushing the helium. What's pushing up the air here on Earth to be able to push up the helium?
It's like the atmosphere or the...
Yeah, so what's pushing up the atmosphere to be able to push up the helium? Because the atmosphere is air, pretty much.
Right.
Yeah. So the helium is showing us that it's being pushed up by the air, which means the air is also being pushed up.
Right.
So what's pushing up the air?
What's pushing up the air? That's a good question. I'm subbing you in.
Not sure either.
Yeah, it's actually the Earth. So the ground you're standing on right now is pushing up right now on you. It's not pulling you down, and that's why gravity is just a theory. Because again, that pulling force of gravity doesn't exist. It's actually a pushing force of the Earth. So again, when you release an object into free fall, it's only apparent that it accelerates down, but the fact is, it's the Earth that's coming up to meet it.
Because we're pushing down, right? And for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah, but we're not necessarily pushing down. It's actually due to inertia.
Oh, okay.
So our bodies are stuck to the Earth, not only because the Earth is pushing up, which obviously makes us stick to the Earth, but obviously because your mass has inertia. So again, when something just in free fall and the air's not dense enough to push it, if the air's not dense enough to push it, then this falls due to inertia. It doesn't accelerate down. It's the Earth that just comes up to meet it again. So that's the reality. So let me ask you guys this. You guys believe the Earth is a ball, right?
Yeah.
So you guys understand that on a ball, up is relative. In other words, if you're standing here, up will be this way, but if you're standing down here, up will be this way, in every direction away from the center, right? If we could physically prove that the Earth is literally pushing up right now, which we can, buoyancy shows us that, and it's not pulling us down, how can the Earth move up in every direction at the same time if it was a ball?
I'm not sure.
So it wouldn't work. So that would mean the Earth will have to be expanding to be able to push up in every direction away from the center, which will mean the Earth will just explode. So it wouldn't work. So in order for people to believe in the ball Earth theory, they first have to believe in the theory of gravity being a pulling force. Because if we could prove that gravity is a pushing force of the Earth, then the globe Earth will fall apart. So the whole globe Earth concept wouldn't work. So that would be the number one proof to debunk the globe Earth, is the fact that gravity is a push of the Earth, not a pull. So, and again, buoyancy shows us the direction of the force is up. So if I was to ask you guys respectfully, what's the number one proof that makes you guys believe the Earth is a ball?
I guess
the Earth is round.
Huh?
You said number one proof that the Earth is round?
Yes. Why
I've been on airplanes.
You've been in an airplane? What about it?
You can kind of tell.
Like the curvature.
So you think you've seen the curvature of the Earth? Okay. So let me ask you this: if there was curvature to the Earth, like if you could see it, we should be able to physically measure it, right?
I'm not sure.
I mean, if you think you're seeing the curvature of the Earth, right, we should be able to physically measure it here on Earth.
So,
yeah, right? We would think so, right? You know the radius of the Earth, they tell us?
I don't know it off the top of my head.
No, right? Okay. Actually, you guys can Google this after, but yeah, the radius of the Earth, they tell us, is 3,959 miles. So based on the radius, we can calculate how much curvature there should be every mile. So you guys heard of the Pythagorean theorem, right? A squared plus b squared equals c squared. So using that simple calculation, we can calculate for how much curvature there should be every mile. And it actually comes out to 8 inches per mile squared. That means that in the first mile, there should be an 8-inch drop. Second mile, there should be 32 inches. And by the third mile, there should be 6 feet of measurable curvature. So how do we measure for this curvature, right? Like physically, right? There's a very easy way. So if we went out to a giant lake that was miles across, and you build a level structure over the body of water, a horizontal structure, the water is going to be parallel to anything horizontal above when, if you pay attention to the surface of water. But they're trying to tell us that the surface of water is bending 6 feet in 3 miles if we were to go out and measure a lake. But that's physically impossible. Water doesn't have the physical ability to maintain a shape on the surface. The surface of water will always collapse and form an equal surface, which is level. So this will be the number 2 proof to debunk the globe Earth. It's the fact that the physical measurement of the Earth has never been done and can never be done because it doesn't exist. And water will debunk that. So I would say what you thought you seen in the airplane was either, obviously the limit of how far you can see is not the curve of the Earth, it's just the limit of perspective. But if you think you've seen curvature left to right, like a curve like that, a lot of airplane windows have like dome windows. So it could have just been warping the light and making it seem that way. But the reality is that's physically impossible. So yeah, the Earth is a level plane. It's not flat. Because I know you guys heard of flat Earth, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, so flat Earth is a psyop. It's no different than the globe Earth. And I'm going to tell you why. Because over 95% of flat Earthers, especially online, they all claim the Earth is motionless.
Kyrie Irving?
Yes, I would say he's a motionless flat Earther too, in my opinion. So he's part of the psyop too.
Oh,
so
okay.
they all claim the Earth is motionless, which means they deny that the Earth is pushing up, which it literally is, because that's where buoyancy comes from. So they believe that objects accelerate down in free fall, just like the globe Earth, which is just a theory. So they have their own theories about that.
So what was your theory about the?
So the Earth is a level plane, and it's level because it's literally moving up. So it's level relative to its motion. Because level is an orientation, and in order to have orientation, you require a force.
And the force is up.
And the force is up, not down. That's the only difference it did.
What about like satellite imaging and things like that? Because that's like what about my
Yeah. So that's actually the number 1 proof people bring up when they talk about the globe. And I don't know if you knew. Well, these are official NASA images from 2002 and 2012, and they admit that they make their images in a computer. So they're all computer generated. So in other words, they're CGI. So a real photograph of the Earth from space as a ball doesn't exist. Nobody's actually been to outer space for that matter, to be fair. So everything that they're showing us about outer space and what's outside, the galaxy, all of that's just cartoons for adults. It's just CGI.
And what do you think is the government's motivation for covering up the truth?
It's not only to it comes down to control at the end of the day. So it's to warp people's perception about what the reality actually is, so that then people just trust the authority that's telling us that, and then they're able to just control us easier. It's just about gaining control. And people believing that, placing trust in these authority figures, then now you're gonna do everything they say now. You're gonna just believe how we should live. And, when they raise taxes, for example, people just go with it. This whole way of life.
Is there like a developed literature behind like the playing field being like a surface level?
Yes, actually, if you look at engineering, for example, so anybody that works in engineering that builds bridges, for example, that are miles across, or when they lay down railroads, for example, all of the blueprints that they use are all done from plumbs and levels.
Right.
Plumbs and horizontal lines. So none of these blueprints have curved baselines.
But I just mean in like retrospect, like
what kind of literature are you talking about?
I mean, like, okay, so what would you consider this? Is this like astrophysics, like in regards?
Well, this
to,
is natural physics.
Natural physics.
Natural physics.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, is there like a literature or like research or anything like that that's been like put towards like discovering like the actual?
If there was, in my opinion, it's been removed from like.
Censored?
Yes, it's been censored.
Censored by who?
Well, the government. I don't know if you knew, winners write the history books.
Well,
so
I feel
people
like
that create war. And
but how would like? But this is like we're talking now like on the global level, right?
Do you
so
think all the
governments are like working together?
Oh yeah, definitely. You guys heard of the UN?
Yeah.
The United Nations?
Yeah, but what about countries that are worried
Outside
with
of
each
the
other
independent?
outside of the UN? Exactly.
So I would say the independent nations like Cuba and Saudi Arabia, right, or what was it, Iraq or whatever, right? I would say those independent nations there's a lot of propaganda that goes into making them look like the bad guys. So we go bomb them, we go and all of that because they're a threat to our economy. Anybody that's independent, it's a threat to the UN's way of life. So that's why we start wars against them, to basically destroy their agriculture and their way of life, so that other people don't catch on. You
What
know,
about North Korea?
I would say the same thing. Yeah, that's just the new age Cuba, in other words. You know. So again, it's all about control at the end of the day. The globe Earth belief is the biggest religion on Earth because all religions are based on faith. People just follow these religions blindly, and the globe Earth is no different. People just believe it blindly. You know, it's just what I was told as a kid. You know, and if I'm being honest, that's why I believed it too. You know, because
Yeah, I mean,
I was told
I'm
that as a
not
kid.
right
I
up
was
on
showing
it.
images on the TV, and I trust authority especially when you're a child. You trust adults. You trust, authority figures, and that's how they want us as adults as well, just to trust someone else. They don't want us to be independent thinkers and to think for ourselves and actually be independent. They want us just to be followers, and that's what it's about. So it's not so much about the shape of the earth; it's about control.
Interesting.
You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. It's
Yeah,
pretty,
that's
pretty-
like really interesting.
No, yeah.
I'll look into it. You said you have a
Very
YouTube channel.
I
Yeah.
actually don't have flyers with me, but here you guys could take a picture of this, or you guys could scan the
Yeah, we'll
code,
scan.
or look at my my channel.
Thank
But
you.
yeah, but yeah, I go to USC, I go to UCR, UC Irvine,
Super cool.
so I go to all the universities here and challenge the current narrative.
Were we smarter than fifth graders?
Yeah, everybody is, believe it or not. If you trust your common sense, you're smarter than a fifth grader. Because a fifth grader can easily be swayed to not trust their common sense, especially nowadays
For sure.
with authority figures, telling us what to do and shit like that.
For sure.
But
Well, yeah, thank you so much.
no, yeah, I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Of course. Well, have a great day. We're heading
All right.
over to the cruise.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
My
Take
hands
care.
are wet. It's,
Ah.
yeah.
I know.
I'm gonna throw
Thank you.
some.
Have a
Take
good
care,
one.
man. All right, you too.
I'll just probably try that.
Alrighty. Alright, I'm gonna start to put stuff away. What time is it? Yeah. Alright, let me just go through the comments real quick, see if there's anything worth answering. And I'm gonna go ahead and call it now. Let me see. Cal 40, Beyond Belief, Renewed Awareness, Angelito, what's up, Dal? Josh, Realm Walker, The Ripple Effect, Base Truther, Sean, B. Thomas, Kevin, Angela, Sir Turtle Otter, Nasty Fripples. Hey everyone. Again, that's gonna have to be it for this one. Again, thanks everyone that joined the stream. And yeah, I mean, what else is there to say, huh? So yeah, it's gonna be for this one. So again, thanks everyone, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.